love it. For more information, visit beavercountyradio.com. You're listening to 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls. It's now time for One Man's Opinion on Sports with Bryan Pasquale. The phone lines are open at 724-843-1888 and 724-774-1888. You can also watch live on the WBVP-WNBA Facebook page. Here is your host, Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. He's ready to take your calls at 724-843-1888 or 724-774-1888. Also, make sure you check us out on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Today's show is sponsored by Easy Home Exteriors. They do roofing, replacement windows, doors, and entryways, as well as siding. Easy Home Exteriors is your one-stop shop for all of your exterior remodeling needs. For a free estimate, call 412-678-7008. That's 412-678-7008. Ryan, we're on an hour early. What's shaking?
Yo. I like this. I like the difference. We got Bryan. We have so many different things to talk about. I'm excited about today's show. We got the draft coming up tomorrow. This is like having an addition to your family, in my opinion, here in Pittsburgh. You're getting that new, like when one gets a baby, we get our new players, and this is who we're going to call.
Our 300-some-pound baby, possibly.
That's right. So I'm excited about it all, man.
Yeah, we've got a lot going on today. We will be on till 6:15 today. At that point, Beaver County Radio here will take on the Pirates pregame show. That'll be on at 6:40 today. We might as well start there. The leadoff hitter, Andrew McCutchen.
Red hot, Bryan.
Red hot at the leadoff spot.
Yeah,
he could average 162 home runs at the leadoff spot at this pace.
You know what I'm saying? The thing about Andrew McCutchen, and I was talking about this the other day, is I don't think, and listen, he's a luxury. Having Andrew McCutchen and a player like him in the career that he had in that DH spot, that's a luxury, and the fact that we're relying on him now to win baseball games, I think that this team has to get away from that. They got to figure out how to get the stick on the ball in the offense and get things back together. What he's doing right now is fine, Bri. But as we go down the road, it's going to have to change because you can't rely on the 37-year-old guy to, get this done for you.
I saw that the Milwaukee Brewers, the pitcher yesterday that made his first career major league start versus us, they typically do fantastic against us and just mow us down.
Yep.
And I said after the first pitch, I'm like, I'm going to text Ryan and just say, guarantee he just starts humming everybody else down, and he pretty much did.
Yeah, he did. And you know what? That's been a reoccurring theme, unfortunately, for this Pirates team, Bryan. The past 8 games, at least, the 2 sweeps, and then the past 2. We just can't get the bats going. I don't know if it's the weather's cold and these guys aren't ready to hit yet. Whatever it is, the guys that we've seen playing in the first 20 games of the season, they need to resurface.
Now, Ryan, pitching tonight is a new guy for us. Tell me a little bit about him.
Yes, Fleming. He was pitching out of the bullpen. He was looking really good. He has nice stuff. And
is he going to be like a 3-inning guy tonight or maybe more? Or is it just like hopefully he gets 3 innings?
I would like to believe that he'll go more than 3 innings.
Okay.
But this was the night that last time around they slotted Quinn Priester into place. And we see how that went. So I believe that's why Fleming's getting the nod tonight.
Now, what about your buddy Falter? What was that, 8 innings? He gave up, one nasty pitch, got taken for a home run, but other than that, he was lights out.
You know what? He's certainly surprising me. I was the one before the season. I didn't think he should have been in the rotation. I didn't think that he should have even been on the team, I'm going to be honest with you. Coming over from Philadelphia with an 0-7 record, finishing the year last year with a 2-9, and then they give him a spot in the rotation. But you know what? They see something that I didn't see because he's, with the exception of the first game that he pitched, he's been, I don't want to say lights out, but close.
He's been like our second best pitcher, I would believe.
He sure has.
Since his first inning, actually.
Yeah.
He gave up 5 runs, a grand slam, and 5 runs in his first innings pitch. And since then, I think he's given up a couple runs. That's it.
You know what? And he's a southpaw, too. I like that. If you can have a successful southpaw in your rotation, that's a huge plus.
Now, Fleming, is he another lefty?
No, I think he is a left-hander.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry.
We got all these lefties. What about our righty, Jonesy?
Man, is he something, huh?
Right.
I mean, what is he? The fourth pitcher in the history, Brian, since 1893. I mean, yeah, we have a hard time comprehending that was even a real year sometime. But Jones is the fourth pitcher.
Was that AD or BC or?
It's one of them. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that year existed. But listen, he is only the fourth pitcher to be able to throw 7 strikeouts in his first 5 consecutive starts in the league. I mean, nobody has ever done this. 3 other people besides Jones, and I think it's phenomenal. And the fact that we have Paul Skeens doing, working in the minors, this is good signs. Paul Skeens, what Jones is able to do, and Mitch Keller being the ace. Let's say these other 2 pitchers come along and pitch very well. That makes Mitch Keller your third instead of putting all the pressure to be the number 1 pitcher.
Well, later in the show, we are going to get into the NFL draft, especially later in the show. We're going to have a special guest on talking a little bit about the NBA as well. So we're not just going to be talking about Pirates today. We're mostly going to be talking about, I would assume, the draft that starts tomorrow. But there is another pitcher, Ryan, that's setting records. He happens to be in the Mexican League. Trevor Bauer is pitching lights out there, and I know it's not against the major league players here, but he set all kinds of records for striking out people with 3 pitches. There was like a zillion of them in a row. I can't remember what the record was, but he is setting Mexican league records.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, he could be doing it here for us, but right. For the league minimum.
Yeah, right.
Remember that line in the major league when Jake Taylor, the catcher, goes to his ex-wife's, I guess, fiance's house, and they're at the party, and they say, "Oh, I hear major league players make good salaries these days," and he goes, "Well, that depends on how good you are," and she goes, "Well, how good are you?" And he goes, "I make the league minimum." Trevor Bauer could be the anomaly to that.
Absolutely. But you got to, beyond pitching, you look at a lot of our other talent down in the minors. I mean, a lot of these guys that came up last year and were starting down the stretch, these backups, players like this, Nick Gonzalez at second base. I mean, there's a handful of them. At the end of the day, and I keep saying this, and I know people keep telling me I'm fooling myself, but I think, Brian, that we have a decent team. Unfortunately, we haven't had many years where we could say that we had this good team in Pittsburgh, so I think it's kind of skewed for us. Anything that looks good, we automatically jump on and say, you know what, this is good.
Yeah, we've been burned one too many times. I get that.
Exactly, but I think they have a nice team. I just don't know what's going on these past.
I did see that they're going to be making some call-ups, and so I was looking into that today when I was prepping for the show, and it was a bunch of people I didn't know who they were, and it was a lot of bullpen arms. Okay. So I think we're going to be seeing some young bullpen guys, which I'm excited about, because the deeper you can make your bullpen, the better you are, especially in a team like us where we're not hitting a lot of home runs, even though we did all preseason down there in spring training. Yeah. I mean, we lead the spring training in home runs hit?
We did, and by a big number, I think.
And we reverted right back to not hitting them. I think the most home runs we have, I believe, is like 3 by somebody, maybe Cruz.
Cruz, and somebody else does have 3. I believe.
It's Hayes?
No, it's the
Connor Joe.
Olivares. Yeah, Olivares also has 3. But that's the thing I do like about these guys who aren't prominent starters. Here, Olivares, Connor Joe. I mean, these guys are putting the stick on the ball. So that's, I think keeping our head above water.
I was giving you a hard time on your live cast earlier today about a certain player, was I not? I kind of got ignored a little bit on there, which is fine. But he's batting 197, has 1 home runs, and plays first base a lot.
197.
Tellez. Yeah. Big disappointment so far. Big disappointment. I don't expect him to hit over 230, but he's got to have some pop every once in a while.
Yeah, he's got to at least play the role what Carlos Santana played last season. Be that big stick every once in a while when you need him. But batting below 200 is not going to work. Yeah,
Connor Joe's doing a nice job. He's leading the team with a 299 batting average, so that's good off the bench. Thank God he's not leading off anymore. I do like this Andrew McCutchen in the leadoff role. I said that back 2013, 2014, 2015, that I thought Andrew McCutchen on a contender would be a leadoff guy. If he was on the Yankees, he should be their leadoff guy. Absolutely. We had to bat him third because we didn't have the power.
Right.
So I do like him batting leadoff. I guess they would put Cruz back in at leadoff whenever it's a righty.
That sounds right. Yeah. You know what? And another thing too, mentioning that, Brian, a lot of times in the past when you get happy with a lineup, and then they throw a southpaw at you, or they change things and you have to change your lineup around. either way, whether we're facing a right-hander or a left-hander, nobody in this lineup is a weak bat, in my opinion. I mean, you may say something different, but when you go,
yeah, I mean, Henry Davis is struggling, Zawinski's struggling, Telez is struggling, Triolo's struggling, but I don't think they're going to struggle in 162.
Yeah, right. And that's one other question I have for you. Do you think maybe, and I don't know the answer to this, do people that play in warm cities, are they hitting the ball better than the teams that are playing up north right now?
It's funny that you say that because what I did, I played fantasy baseball for a while.
Okay.
And so early on in the draft, what I would do is I would draft a bunch of stud pitchers.
Right.
Okay. So my team would be pitcher loaded heavy more than the hitters. And they would put out these great numbers early in the year. Pitchers dominate. And then eventually the batters would catch up to the pitchers.
Right.
And so then I would start making a few trades and getting some steals for some guys that went out and got off to a good start. So I would say, they were down in spring training. They should be able to hit in this cold weather. I don't know. I never hit with a wooden bat.
Yeah, right. It's just something that I thought about the other day. I just maybe we'll look into that. It just seems like the guys down south, because we were hitting the ball good when we were playing down in Miami,
right.
And but you come home, we're up here in the cold.
We did score well when we were not at home.
We were scoring a lot of points. We were averaging about 5.5 runs a game, and you can see we're struggling to even get 2-3 runs.
Yeah,
right now.
We were at Philadelphia, then we were at New York, and then in Pittsburgh. So cold.
Yeah.
Maybe there is something to that. And Andrew McCutchen, possibly a Hall of Famer. My book will be in the Hall of Fame, especially if he puts in another good year here and maybe one more. He always struggled in April.
Yeah.
Then whenever it warmed up, he warmed up, and he'd have months where he'd bat over 400.
Right. No, I agree. The other part of this as well, though, Brian, are the other teams struggling? I mean, if they're coming here and they're hitting the cover off the ball and we're struggling, I guess you got to throw that out the window. Yeah,
but if you throw Quinn Priester at our team, are they going to hit him?
You're right. No, that's a great point. But you know what? I'm into it still. I'm not out of it. When they hit 11-11, they were on a 2-9 run, and I thought, this is going to be it's going to be a long time till Steelers season starts.
How great will it be, though, to be 15-11 and the Brewers 14-10, though?
That would be something. If we could end up sweeping these guys and maybe get a little help from the Reds and Cubs because they're winning as well.
I want to say they're both, in their last 10, they both won, I want to say 8-7.
Yeah.
So they're on a bit of a roll.
The Cubs are a half game out. The Reds are a whole game out, and we are 1.5 or 2 games out. 2 games, I'm sorry.
If we were in the West, the National League West, we would be right there, a half game behind the Dodgers. So we're not too bad. This, with that bad losing streak, getting swept twice, but another 4-game win streak. That would be another sweep. That'd be great. 2 4-game sweeps are tough.
Absolutely. And that's the thing too. You got to continue. You got to win series, and at the end of the day, those 2 series that we lost and we got swept, it's ultimately going to mean nothing when you get 162 games played, because of course you're going to lose 11 games through the course of the season. So, if they can get back on track, find ways to continue to win series, that's all you can really do.
Yeah, well, they are playing tonight at 6:40. We will lead you up into the Pirates pregame show. Then they play tomorrow at, 12:35 to end the series with the Brewers.
Yes.
And no day off. And they go out to San Francisco to play the Giants Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then we get the Oakland Athletics after that on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The last time we played Oakland, I think they embarrassed us.
They did. They were the worst team in the league.
I think they had 2 wins.
Yeah, I think we were still on our nice little run last year.
Yes.
And they did. They came and they beat us 2 games out of 3. We'll see if we can change that.
I think we won
around.
the first one, then they just smacked us the next 2, and I think we lost a bunch right after that. So it was like the start of our onslaught, of our downfall last year.
And the thing about this Pirates team, you got to think too, Brian. These little things that we talk about, where it's like, well, if we could win this, if we could win it. We're not the normal baseball team. Other teams, you could watch and follow their consistency. The Pirates, they could do the greatest things, like start 20-8, like start 9-2 or whatever we were. In a month from now, we could be in the basement. So the Pirates are a hard team to go by.
The Pirates. Well, we're going to be getting into some NFL talk on the other side of the break. We will have Ralph Williams from the Sports Corner. You can catch him every Tuesday here from 4 to 6 on Beaver County Radio. We will be back on the other side of this break. You've been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM.
Beaver County Radio proudly welcomes Fry Transportation to their family. You're listening to 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP, live from the all-new Fry Transportation Studios.
The Run for the Roses Derby for Hope fundraiser, Saturday, May 4th at the Steam Fitters Event Center in Harmony. Learn more at ih2helps.com. Benefits inspired hearts and hands effort to support youth and veterans in economic hardship. Go to ih2helps.com. The event features heavy hors d'oeuvres, dessert buffet, the 8-piece band No Bad Juju, casino games, derby wagering, raffles, and more. Check it out at ih2helps.com. Doors open at 4:30. Tickets are required. All you need to know is at ih2helps.com.
Beaver County Transit Authority connects you to where you want to be. The doctor's office for well-deserved shopping spree will take you to wherever you please. Safe, no fuss, leave the driving to us. Hop on, adventures coming your way.
The Beaver County Transit Authority Fast Forward Summer Pass is back in 2024. The application opens online at bcta.com or in person at the Rochester Transportation Center on May 11th. The days are getting longer and the weather is warming up. Don't miss your chance to travel around Beaver County and even in the Pittsburgh all summer long. Children ages 6 to 21 ride free between June 1st and August 31st.
Safe, no fuss, leave the driving to us. Adventures just a ride away. Beaver County Transit Authority, BCTA. Ride the bus.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. Also, make sure you check us out on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Today's show is sponsored by Easy Home Exteriors. They do roofing, replacement windows, doors, and entryways, as well as siding. Easy Home Exteriors is your one-stop shop for all of your exterior remodeling needs. For a free estimate, call 412-678-7008. That's 412-678-7008. Ryan, we are going to be digging into the NFL draft all day, and right now we have Ralph Williams on the phone. Welcome to the show, Ralph.
Hey, Brian. Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, you can check out Ralph every Tuesday here on Beaver County Radio from 4 to 6 on Sports Corner with his co-host, Smokin' Jim Frazier. Ralph, I know we're going to be talking about the wide receivers, cornerbacks, centers, and tackles a lot, but you have been talking defensive line for about a month now at least, and I want to go over what holes we need to fill and who and how do you think we're going to fill the defensive line through the draft and maybe even free agency?
Okay, well, Brian, the first thing they have to do is the first 2 rounds at least is going to be center and an offensive tackle. Now, I'm looking at the 3rd round here, and there's a guy named Devontae Sweat, and he's from Texas, 6'4", 362. They have him projected in the 3rd round. I think the Steelers should look at this guy because he could clog up some holes, and he's almost as big as Casey Hampton, probably bigger than Casey Hampton. So we need somebody like that. And then also in the 5th round or 6th round, later rounds, we should get Gabe Hall from Baylor, 6'6", 292.
Okay, so obviously you don't think that they are as dire of a need as the offensive line, but, you know, here's my theory. The way the Steelers have been ran on over the past 2 seasons, I think absolutely, like you said, we need some big, beefy bodies that can take on 1 or 2 offensive linemen and free up our inside linebackers and safeties.
Absolutely. We need to get rid of some of this dead wood that we have on this team. Loudermilk's dead wood. DeMarvin Llewellyn is dead wood. We got, I can't believe they signed Martavius Adams again. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that have to go here. And again, I like this Devontae Sweat, Texas, 3rd round, 6'4", 362. It's perfect. You can make him a nose tackle, and he can clog up holes and everything.
All right, I'm going to have to watch some film on him. I don't know much about him. Okay, so do you think that Casey Hampton was playing hurt last year? Will he have anything left in the tank for this year, especially with that paycheck that he's getting?
Casey Hampton's retired.
Forgive me, Connor Hayward.
Well, yeah, Connor Hayward, I don't know. I think they drafted him because he was Cam's brother, Connor Hayward. But if you're talking about Cam Hayward, I don't know. I think it's time for him maybe to retire, but I think he wants to try to get a Super Bowl before he retires. And if he's going to wait this long to get a Super Bowl with Mike Tomlin, that's not happening.
Right on. Okay, so you said center and tackle in the first 2 rounds. Who are we looking at, and do you think we have to get one of the top 3 centers or then wait? Well,
I'm hearing rumors today that we are going to be trading to get that Bryan or whatever his name is from San Francisco, that wide receiver. And there's been big talk all day today about that. So if we trade our first-round pick like we did before and to get a player like we did Minkah Fitzpatrick, that might be okay. I mean, we need a splash wide receiver. And if we can get Tyler Boyd in here, can you imagine what our wide receiving crew would look like?
Let me ask you guys, if they would do that, I've been seeing all the same things you have, Ralph. If they would make that trade, we would give up a round 1 pick to get Brandon Ayuk from San Francisco. Would you guys be okay with that?
I would.
What about you, Bryan?
He's a star.
Go ahead, Ralph.
Yeah, he's a star player. He ate our lunch last year when we played San Francisco in the first game of the year. So it's just looking at our game plus some of the other games. He did a well of a job, as a wide receiver. And now he has a quarterback that can throw to him too.
And there's that's the thing too. Guys talk about trading up, maybe grabbing a receiver in the draft. There's no guarantee. Brandon Ayuk, he has potential. He played in the league now. He has star potential. And as I said, if you take your risk and draft a receiver, you don't know what you're going to get. I'm all for making that trade if we can make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I would take it myself, and in the second round start looking. There's plenty of offensive tackles out there, Ryan, that are in the draft. We talked about that yesterday.
Oh, there's tons.
And, there's a bunch of them. So there's no really need, I don't think, to panic to get one if we can get a star player like Alou.
So, okay, let me ask you guys both this then. If we do, let's just say, trade and get Ayuk, or if we do draft a wide receiver with the 20th pick overall, that kind of, to me, means we're going to be missing out on either center or tackle because we can't get both with 1 pick in the second round.
Well, here's the thing, Bryan. If we don't get what we want, let's say, for instance, they have a list of people that they want to take that are priority. They have a priority list, and then they have a secondary list. If the priority list is there and any offensive tackle that they want is not there, they might get some more draft picks and trade down. But Omar Khan said he's not trading down.
I personally don't think that. Listen, I mean, if you listen, people will make it sound like this is the worst thing in the world. You could always call Mason Cole back. You could always use Dan Moore Jr. It isn't like we have to put together the top unit coming out of the gate. You want to improve in these areas, but as I mentioned, if you could bring in a star player like a Brandon Ayuk and have that be a weapon on your offense, Dan Moore didn't do the worst job. A lot of people you talk to will continue to say that last year, and I'm sure Mason Cole isn't working anywhere right now. There's answers for these kind of things, and again, if we go into the season where 21 out of 22 players we're happy with, I'm fine with that.
Everyone forgets we still have Nate Herbig and we have Spencer Anderson. Spencer Anderson we drafted in the 7th round last year. He can play every position on the line. So and he played a lot of center when he was in college. So Spencer Anderson might be your answer too. It all depends on what happens.
I think that's just going to be, Bryan. I think that's going to be what the difference is. If they go after a pretty pick early, that's what they're going to have to sacrifice is one of those 2 offensive line positions. So, it just depends on how they want to go at it.
Yeah, I just think they have too many needs versus how many draft picks they have, so they are going to have to address some of those holes in-house or in the free agency. A couple free agents I did hear that we might sign are the tackle Becton from the Jets. He's 24-year-old from Louisville. He can play right or left tackle. So there's, 1-year deal for $5 million. I heard that they're in the talks with that. So that might be part of what they're doing.
He wasn't the guy that was blocking when Aaron Rodgers got injured last year, was he?
Yeah, there you go.
They're also looking at some secondary wide receivers. Lockett from Seattle, Sutton from the Broncos, Woods from the Texans, and Burks from the Titans. These are all people I guess they're looking into. So I guess if they don't get what they want, they do have backup plans, I guess they're going with here, Ralph.
Yeah. Well, Mediocre Mike said at the press conference they just had in regards to the draft yesterday, he said that they're really not worried. He's happy with the current wide receiver room they have. And he said we can add a few guys, he said we're fine.
All right, so you're thinking offensive line, defensive line, but with maybe a possible splash of a wide receiver or a trade for a wide receiver. What about any potential for a cornerback, Ralph?
Well, if they take a quarterback, I have them taking either Sam Hartman from Notre Dame or Keaton Slovis from BYU in the late rounds. Around 6th round.
He thought she said quarterback.
Oh, I'm sorry, corner.
Oh, corner. Okay.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, corner. Yeah, corner. They have. There's a lot of good corners in this draft. I have second round Kamari Lassiter from Georgia, and then you have that Cooper DeJean, the one that Smoking Jim likes. If he's available in the first round, I'd nab him. And they have a bunch of guys. Jarvis Brownlee from Louisville. They got a bunch of guys. Cam Hart from Notre Dame.
Who's the kid from Marshall? Who's the kid from Toledo, Ralph?
Oh, yeah. Oh, the kid from Toledo. I like him, yeah. Quillen Mitchell.
People are saying he's one of the best in this year's draft.
Yes, he is, yes. And, hey, if he's there, if I'm the Steelers, man, and I don't have what I want and he's there, I take him.
Plus, we're getting Corey Trice Jr. I guess he's returning. I guess he's healthy finally again. So hopefully he could stay healthy. And I don't believe that he would go into a starting role right off the bat just because he missed all of last year. But hopefully he can add some depth, and maybe by midway through the season he can get into that nickel and dime packages.
Absolutely. Yeah, they need to get him in there, Brian, because when he played at Purdue, he was a really good corner. They had him predicted going in the first round, then he got hurt. And some injuries and stuff, so his draft stock dropped. Steelers were lucky to get him in the 7th round.
All right, Ralph, here's a scenario. There's Brian Thomas Jr., the wide receiver from LSU. There's Cooper DeJean, the defensive back from Iowa. There's Mims from Georgia, the offensive tackle. And there's Zach Frazier, the center from West Virginia, all available at number 20. And you're on the clock, Ralph. Who are you picking?
Well, I'm hearing Mims is probably who they are going to take. I hope they don't, because he only played 8 games. He was never a starter, George. He only played 8 games. So I mean, he doesn't have a lot of game experience. I hope they don't take him at all. But I would love to take the wide receiver you just mentioned there.
Yeah, 6'3", 209, runs a 4.33 40. Hopefully he doesn't have the diva in him, but I would assume most of these wide receivers that are going to go in the first round do. And without having that veteran leader like a Hines Ward there to keep him honest, I don't know if that's the best way to go. But I mean, just skill wise, absolutely.
Oh yeah, great, yeah. Oh, you know it. But here's a guy that the Steelers are projected to be drafting, and they looked at him extensively. Malachi Horley from Western Kentucky. They could get him in the 3rd or 4th round. His 40 time was 4.50. He's 5'11", 210. And they say he's great, at running routes and catching balls.
Well, Ralph, we have a little over a minute. Any more NFL stuff you want to discuss, or do you want to talk about the Pirates at all for a minute?
Well, the Pirates, I agree with you what you were talking about, Roddy Tellez. He's become a bum. Roddy Tellez, I want to tell you a little something. I did some homework on him. I have friends that cover the Milwaukee Brewers, And I reached out to them, and they told me that last year he was hurt, and he was hurt this year too when we got him. So Rowdy Tellez is behind the 8 ball because of injuries, and that's that. But in 22, they said he hit like 30 home runs or something. So
Yeah, maybe he was on the juice then. I don't know.
Is he young? How long has Rowdy Tellez been around, guys? Is he a young guy still?
I think he's pretty young, yeah.
Okay.
I think he's like 27-ish, isn't he?
Okay.
I think in that range.
Yeah, and you know what? Quinn Priester's is coming up now from the minors, and then I'm looking at Skeens probably in the next month.
All right.
I can't wait. Oh,
yeah.
man.
I mean, Ralph, now, if obviously they're going to have Skeens come up and pitch at home, I would assume that they would be smart and do it during the week and not a weekend because they could probably sell out a game during the week. If he does come up, will you be attending, Ralph?
I don't pay for Pirate games. I refuse to until Bob Nutting sells the team. If someone buys me a ticket or someone invites me to the game and says I'm paying for it, I will go to a game.
I'm with you, Ralph.
Like that.
I'm with you, Ralph. Well, thanks for joining us.
You know what? My mother likes baseball, and she wants to go for giveaways and stuff, so I'll go if she goes and pays.
All right, Ralph. Well, thanks for joining us today. You can catch Ralph Williams on Sports Corner every Tuesday here from 4 to 6 on Beaver County Radio. Thanks again, Ralph.
You're welcome, Brian. Ryan, you guys have a great day. Thank you, and let's see who the Steelers are going to draft.
All right. All right, guys. We're going to be talking more Steelers draft and Pirates and everything else in sports whenever we come back. You've been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM.
This is Andy Toole, men's basketball coach at Robert Morris University, here to talk about my friends at Falcone Moon Township Ford. I know what it takes to win a basketball game. It begins with practice and a team of players who want to win. The same is true of the team at Moon Township Ford. Professionals who will win you over. They'll find the best rate and terms on a car loan to help you get the best deal. Make a fast break and avoid the roadblocks that stop you from finding the car you want. Go where I go. Moon Township Ford.
Falcone's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends.
Whether it's Little League or the big leagues, it's time to get out and play ball. Friendly Federal Credit Union reminds you that every team looks forward to playing at home in front of a live crowd. Seeing loyal fans can help any player feel more comfortable. Just like a home game in baseball, Friendly Federal Credit Union always has friendly faces to help and cheer you on at the teller window. Now get out of that dugout and in front of your cheering section. The personal live tellers at Friendly Federal Credit Union.
Thinking of what's good for lunch or dinner? Make it McDonald's with a hot and spicy McChicken sandwich available now for a limited time only. Enjoy crispy, tender chicken seasoned with a bold mix of spices, topped with shredded lettuce mayo, and served on a perfectly toasted bun. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Hey, can you imagine trying to hit a fastball or throwing a runner out at home? It's hard to think of doing these things under perfect circumstances, let alone with the distraction and discomfort of dental issues. Regular dental care from Dr. C. Timothy Lip can improve your productivity, happiness, and focus, even if you're not in the big leagues. Dental problems affect more than just your teeth. Visit lipdentistry.com or Dr. C. Timothy Lip Family Dental Offices on College Hill and Robinson Township.
Be the grilling expert on your block and buy a grill built to last like the Weber Spirit or Broil King Pro for $829 or the Napoleon Freestyle for just $449, plus free assembly and delivery. Check out our full lineup of Amish-made outdoor poly furniture on display now and take an extra 10% off until May 15th. Grills and outdoor furniture built to last. Only at AK Nayhouse Appliance, Furniture, Mattress, and TV in Industry, PA. You'll do okay with AK.
Now, back to One Man's Opinion with Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. He is ready to take your calls at 724-843-1888 and 724-774-1888. Also, make sure you check us out on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Today's show is sponsored by Easy Home Exteriors. They do roofing, replacement windows, doors, and entryways, as well as siding. Easy Home Exteriors is your one-stop shop for all of your exterior remodeling needs. For a free estimate, call 412-678-7008. That's 412-678-7008. All right, Ryan, we got a couple segments. Listeners out there, we have a couple segments. So if you want to call in and tell us, what the Pirates should be doing or who the Steelers should be drafting, give us a call. We got a couple segments to take some calls here. I want to start off here real quick that the Aliquippa lawsuit's still in hand. They have the head Pirates medical doctor to testify. And so my guess would be that he's going to be testifying that it's not safe for Aliquippa to be playing up in, 5A? And here's my theory. The starters and juniors and seniors from Aliquippa, I'm sure, can compete, if not do better than the bigger schools around here. But let's just say week 2, the senior left guard gets hurt, and you've got to put in that young sophomore who's still growing, who's still developing, and he's going to go up against that senior from North Allegheny. I think that's where the medical issue can come into play there.
And wouldn't that be something at the end of the day if they come back and they win this? Because, it seems wrong, and it seems like they're just, for whatever reason, trying to put this team behind the 8 ball. And, and as you said, Aliquippa, they do fine. They handle it, and they continue to win. But, if it comes back legally and they say, you know what, you're screwing these kids, how bad is that going to make the league look? It just shows you that they're stacking the odds up against these kids, and that's not right.
What if Aliquippa wins the states again at 5A? Do they go directly to the ACC or do they go to the SEC?
They might be in the AFC North after that. I don't know. But you know what? And I think they would do just fine, but it's just not right, my man. It's not right at the end of the day for these kids. They're kids. You got to keep that in mind. They're kids.
Yes, Coach Warfield, we are on your side. Kids from Aliquippa, parents from Aliquippa, we are on your side on this. You should be playing, in my heart, maybe up one division. When I was in basketball back in the 90s, we could play in Double A, and we decided to play up in Triple A just for better competition,
right.
and because we would have dominated Double A. And so we played up in Triple A, but if we had to go to Quad A, it would have been no fun for us.
This is just the easy thing. Just keep kicking it down the road, keep pushing them up. And I said, if you want to do what's right, encourage the other kids to practice harder. Encourage the other kids for other teams to. That's the real answer. Until these other teams can figure out a way to beat a team like. Come on, every single year this team dominates that much. There's got to be a way. There has to be an answer. People go in scared to play Aliquippa. At the end of the day, it's not right that they're the ones that have to pay. They're the ones that are playing the best football. They're the ones that. I don't like it, Brian.
I agree. Moving on into other sports news, Reggie Bush is set to get his 2005 Heisman Trophy back.
I saw that.
Well, good for Reggie Bush. I don't know how you could take something you give away to somebody. What was the OJ joke that Norm Macdonald made during Charles Woodson's Hall of Fame induct? He said, you wanted the defensive Heisman of the year. Nobody could take that away from you unless you murder a waiter.
No, yeah.
It was a really bad Norm Macdonald, but great joke.
Right. You know what? Good for him. I like Reggie. He was fun to watch. A lot of these guys that they're superstars in the NFL, but they were so fun to watch, or they're not able to be superstars in the NFL, but they were so fun to watch in college. Tim Tebow being one of them. I like these guys. I like Reggie Bush did amazing in college, and he was one of my favorite college players.
Yeah, whenever I think of great college players like a Christian Laettner in basketball, that just he was an okay NBA player. Reggie Bush, one of those dynamic college players, and he did okay in the NFL. He had his niche, but he wasn't going to be a superstar. Let's see here. The Steelers could sign Marcus Golden, outside linebacker, for some linebacker depth.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I may be wrong, and I've seen exactly what you're talking about. I saw it this morning, but didn't he just sign with the Miami Dolphins like 3 or 4 days ago?
I saw it today, so I don't know those details, and I couldn't correct you if you're right or wrong because I don't know for sure, but I saw it on news today. It wasn't like a 4-day-old thing. It was today. So.
Right, and I saw the same thing. I remember saying to somebody, I was like, that stinks because I would have liked to have him back. He did play such a great job backing up the outside linebacker position. I don't know. We might want to check into that because, like I said, I for some reason believe
maybe during one of the breaks we'll look into it, and then later on in the show we will announce it. Ralph, you like to message on the Facebook board a lot, so if you could check into that for us and put that on the board, that would be great. We always appreciate when you do that.
But I would love that because having Nate Herbig and Marcus Golden backing up Highsmith and Watt.
Yeah, and they can get breathers because we know how TJ J.J. Watt likes to take his breathers, and they like to give him his rest and limit his snaps. So to keep him healthy all year, maybe he can make it through the playoffs this year too if we get there.
They were so productive, those two guys. Herbig, I mean, he caused a bunch of problems last year, and I think Marcus Golden had 3 or 4 sacks. So is that being your backup crew? That's not bad.
Right. Yeah, and if somebody's out for 2 or 3 games, then at least you have a quality backup.
Right.
Moving on to your girlfriend, number 22, Caitlin Clark. Now, we'd said that her shirt in one day sold more jerseys than the entire Dallas Cowboys sold, which I would assume the Cowboys sold the most out of the NFL, which is why they mentioned the Cowboys. She signs a $28 million Nike deal.
Yes. And if you just give me just a moment, I can tell you how the competition broke down, Brian. And it wasn't even close. I mean, of course, all the companies, the shoe companies, are vying for her name.
Now, is it just a Nike shoe deal or is it a Nike deal? Now, because you were talking on your live cast about your concern with Caitlin Clark. Are they going to make men's shoes or just the women's shoes? Because you want to sell to men and women. But if she has Nike shirts, Nike, where guys can wear the shirts or shorts or something, where not necessarily a girly looking shoe.
Right.
I don't know if it's with Nike or Nike shoes.
That's a great question. I just know that they have to sell a lot of tennis shoes to bring her on for $28 million. That's $7 million. No, I don't know what $3.5 million.
Yeah, but they're charging like $450 a shoe now.
Right. But they're going to have to. They're going to have to do one or the other. They're going to have to sell a boatload of them, or they're going to have to charge a lot of money because, again, you're not tapping into every market. If it's a female type shoe, you're getting half of that market. You got to somehow implement the men and the women and put something out there that everybody feels comfortable wearing. For example, the Jumpman logo for Michael Jordan. It's got to be. You got to create a brand that people are going to want.
Here's what I thought they should have done with Caitlin Clark. Go back to the 1985 draft, the NBA draft, where they fixed it so the New York Knicks got Patrick Ewing, and make sure that LA or New York or Chicago got Caitlin Clark. The fact that she went to Indiana, I just think they missed out on that opportunity. And obviously they'd have to cheat the system to do it, but I think they should have cheated the system.
Yeah, I kind of see the writing on the wall. I mean, as the tournament was going on, and she started to gain more population, she became more popular. I'm sorry, and you kind of seen that on the wall come. It's like, okay, she's going to Indiana. She's going to Indiana. Of course, you'd like to see her in a bigger market city,
right. But, just for the popularity of the sport and the WNBA in general, and for girls to get more exposure to playing basketball at a young level and maybe looking up to her.
Here are the numbers. This is the competition that. For Nike, okay, so the deal is 8 years, $28 million is what the agreement came down to. Adidas, their top dollar was 4 years, $6 million.
I think that was a little low.
Under Armour was 4 years, $16 million. And Puma dropped out after even hearing $3 million.
Well, that reminds me, didn't Michael Jordan, he wanted to do Adidas? Everybody was doing Converse. I mean, Magic, Bird, and all the greats from the 80s were doing the Converse. They all had that you could take out a color on the side of the shoe and put in green if you were the Celtics, or you could put in the purple if you were the Lakers or whatnot, and you could create your own shoe. And they didn't even want to talk to Michael Jordan, I guess. They just wanted him to go right along with that. They didn't think that individuals could carry something. So he wanted to do Adidas, and I guess Adidas just blew him off. So Nike it is.
Wow.
An empire was born.
Ain't that something?
Yeah.
Think of the empire, as you said, the empire that you lost by being Adidas and making those decisions.
Right. So I kind of feel like going through this news here, I kind of feel like you on your podcast, whenever you do the around the world and sports type of news things.
Okay.
Today, Ryan, on the Two Dumb Yinzers live cast, you had a special guest. Why don't you tell me a little bit about today?
Yeah. And I thought that this guest was special in a lot of different ways, mainly because the draft is coming tomorrow. The NFL draft is coming. We here in Pittsburgh, we love this time of year. We're waiting to see who we get to, we are new players. And I thought what was special about Tim Worley, guys, he is a former first-round pick. He was a number 7 overall pick in the 1989 draft, in the same draft that yielded Barry Sanders, Deion Sanders, Troy Aikman. I mean, the list really goes on in that 89 draft. But that was, one of the main priorities I was looking at. I thought, if I could get a Steeler on who has a nice draft history, So we had Tim Worley on. He was great. Really connected well with him, and I wish him nothing but the best.
You guys can go on to YouTube right after our show today at 6:15 while you start to watch the listen to the Pirates game here. Go on to YouTube and Google Two Dumb Yinzers. It's DUM, Two Dumb Yinzers, and check out today's live cast. They had Worley on for about 45 minutes. It was absolutely fantastic. He talked about so many things, just his college experiences and some of his spiritual experiences and some of his parents. It was a really, really good interview. It was awesome. I suggest checking that out.
One of my favorite parts of it is he's not a hometown guy. He's from down south, but when he grew up, he was a Steeler fan, and being a true Steeler fan, what else was he, Brian? He was a Cowboy hater. He hated the Cowboys.
Yes. Not to spoil the show, but everybody down in North Carolina either was a Cowboys, Redskin, or Steelers fan, and his mother's favorite player was the one and only Mean Joe Green.
Yeah.
So he got some Steelers gear and became a Steeler fan from there on. And not a big fan of the Lions either.
Yeah,
don't want to spoil too much, though.
You might want to catch
a little teaser out there, a little teaser.
Yeah.
So,
Boy, that have changed things, huh?
Yeah, so Tim Worley, great guy, very humble, had nothing but nice things to say about just about everybody except for maybe an offensive coordinator. But, yes, what a great interview.
Yeah, I liked him, and it was super to talk to him, definitely.
All right, well, we're going to get into some more sports whenever we come back. You guys have been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We'll be right back to One Man's Opinion on Sports.
Give your wallet a break. A spring break with great new furniture styles for your home at AK Nay House. Create something special and unique for your home with comfortable handcrafted furniture by England made in the hills of Appalachia. For a limited time, get an extra 15% off all England furniture, including custom orders and 12-month special financing with free local delivery. Customized furniture available in over 400 fabrics in just 4 weeks. AK Nay House Appliance, Furniture, Mattress, and TV. You'll do okay with AK.
Whether it's Little League or the big leagues, it's time to get out and play ball. Friendly Federal Credit Union reminds you that every team looks forward to playing at home in front of a live crowd. Seeing loyal fans can help any player feel more comfortable. Just like a home game in baseball, Friendly Federal Credit Union always has friendly faces to help and cheer you on at the teller window. Now get out of that dugout and in front of your cheering section. The personal live tellers at Friendly Federal Credit Union.
Hey, can you imagine trying to hit a fastball or throwing a runner out at home? It's hard to think of doing these things under perfect circumstances, let alone with the distraction and discomfort of dental issues. Regular dental care from Dr. C. Timothy Lip can improve your productivity, happiness, and focus, even if you're not in the big leagues. Dental problems affect more than just your teeth. Visit lipdentistry.com or Dr. C. Timothy Lip Family Dental Offices on College Hill and Robinson Township.
Thinking of what's good for lunch or dinner? Make it McDonald's with a hot and spicy McChicken sandwich available now for a limited time only. Enjoy crispy, tender chicken seasoned with a bold mix of spices, topped with shredded lettuce mayo, and served on a perfectly toasted bun. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. He's ready to take your calls at 724-843-1888 and 724-774-1888. Also, make sure you check us out on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Today's show is sponsored by Easy Home Exteriors. They do roofing replacement, windows, doors, and entryways, as well as siding. Easy Home Exteriors is your one-stop shop for all of your exterior modeling needs. For a free estimate, call 412-678-7008. That's 412-678-7008. All right, tomorrow, 8 p.m., the 89th annual NFL Draft starts. Ryan, what are your thoughts?
I'm just so excited, Brian. I can't wait. I can't wait to see. I mean, it all comes down to this. When the Super Bowl ends, you know that you have a couple steps. You have free agency, then you have the draft. And we're just at that point, man. We're going to take care of this and start working on building this team and getting it ready for next season. I'm really excited, man. All
right. Do they do anything outside of taking a cornerback, wide receiver, center, or tackle? Let's just get that out of the way right now. Do they do something silly and not take one of the four needs? Let's just say there's that guy that can't miss, and he's not one of those positions.
Not a chance. There really isn't a chance. They are going to hit one of those 4 positions. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't see Cooper DeJean being around come pick 20. I think if you're going to get him like a lot of people want, you're going to have to trade up for him, make some deals happen. I don't see them going after I don't think they're going to go after the cornerback early either, Brian. I think it's probably going to be the center of the tackle.
Now, which do you put more emphasis on? Because I'm looking at all of my tackles and all my centers here. I have about the top 10 to 12 of each position. And centers, there's about 5 that I like.
Yeah.
Okay. Tackles, there's like 12 to 15 that I like. And I'm not saying they could either one can, outside of the top, maybe a couple guys could come in and start. But I'm talking about halfway through the year, they take over at a starting job.
Right.
And then for the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years, can be a quality starter. Do you think, here's my ideal world. We get a tackle.
Right.
And then we get one of the top 4 centers in the second or third round. But I think if you go the other way around, tackles are going to go faster than centers.
Well, that's what I think, too. I think here's the thing. You want to either get Jackson Powers Johnson, the center from Oregon, or you want to get Zach Frazier. I mean, of course, these 2 names are the 2 that are thrown around the most. In my opinion, this is what I would like to see happen. I would like to see them make a move before the draft. I'd like to get a trade for Brandon Ayuk. Right off the top, I would love to have that receiver in this offense. I think he would be so beneficial. He's young. Again, he's proven himself. There's not that risk factor, again, that you're going to get by taking a receiver out of college. With that being said, if you have to lose your first-round pick, that kind of changes things up a little bit now, Brian, because let's just say now you might be able to grab one of them centers that you had mentioned, 4 or 5 different guys, maybe get that person, that pick in the second round, and being so deep at tackle, maybe tackle the tackle position after that.
I think if you give up your number 20 overall draft pick to get Ayuk, that somehow, some way in that trade, you need to get like a 3rd or 4th rounder in there as well from them to maybe take 2 of those to trade up or to, have some more picks in the draft, because we already lost our 5th and 7th pick. So we are down to just 7 picks. We had 9. We're down to 7 now.
In theory, we have 4 picks in the top 100.
I think 4 in the top 119. Number 4 is 119. So that's great.
That is great. Not everybody's going after the positions you're going after. So, I mean, that makes your odds a little better. But like I said, my best case scenario, just in my opinion, this is what I would like to have happen. I would like to see a trade go down for Brandon Ayuk and then see what plays we have at that point.
Are you okay if Dan Moore Jr. is your starting left tackle going into next season without somebody challenging him?
I am because, again, a lot of people made the comments that, they would be okay with him playing. He played an okay season. Let's say you have to kick down the can down the road. Let's say you get your receiver. Let's say you get your center, and you have to kick the can down the road to next season to get yourself the other top tackle go opposite of Broderick Jones. I think that's fine. I don't think that we necessarily have to have the all-Madden team going into next season. As long as we could prove significantly and win football games, it shouldn't come down to your right tackle at the end of the year.
All right, so let's just say they take the 20th pick or they do something else and move up. Do you see a Bud Dupree, an Artie Burns, a Terrell Edmonds, a Devin Bush? Do you see a bust like that?
Is our first-round pick?
Possibly.
You know what? I don't because, again, I think they're going to go and get an offensive lineman first, and it's hard to get that kind of a bust from an offensive lineman. I mean, we've seen it with Kendrick Green, we've seen it in other areas, but if you're spending that high of a pick for that player, you shouldn't.
Okay, so at 5:00 we are going to have on Dan Neely, our just absolute NFL expert. He knows the ins and outs of the league. He knows more about the NFL than the people that you watch on major broadcasting. He's just a world of knowledge, and he was showing me something, or I brought up something to him today that if you look at the last, drafts, it was like 10 years, 20 years, whatever it was, and they broke it down by positions, Ryan. So what it was each position, and if you hit on that on the first round, center, like 98% of the centers taken in the first round were a hit. The next was tackles at like close to 70%. The next were guards at like just under that.
Yeah.
And then it went down from there. I want to say linebackers was really low. So I don't think at number 20 and number 51, if you don't move, taking a center and a tackle, you're probably going to hit.
You're probably going to be a success. You're right. And as you recall, I mentioned Kendrick Green tongue-in-cheek a moment ago. He was a third-round pick, so that's just outside of that box of those first 2 picks. So I agree. A lot of these guys, these centers and the top centers and top tackles, they end up being pretty good.
Yeah, I'll tell you one of my favorite tackles of all time is Max Starks.
Yeah, I like Max.
I believe he was a third-round pick.
Yeah.
Max Starks, I love whenever I go to the games. I see him down there on the field because he's in the broadcasting now and whatnot. But he's just the size, and I was just like, if he can get his feet moving with that big body, those arms, he's going to be a great tackle. And he was for the Steelers for a long time. Absolutely.
You know, one thing that we do have to see this season, Brian, Broderick Jones, he does need to come along a little bit better. I don't want to say I was disappointed in him. He came along well last year, just not where we need him yet. So I mean, we're continuing to work with Broderick Jones, and once you figure that out, then you can figure out what you're going to do with your other tackle. But he needs to get ready.
Yeah, Jones was fantastic. I think right away on the run blocking.
Yes,
I think. And here's what I hear all the time from linemen. I mean, I'm 6 foot and about 220. I mean, whenever I graduated high school, I was maybe 160. So I was never a lineman.
Right.
Okay. I hear it's all about technique.
Yeah.
You can have all the size, speed, and skill you want. So I think as long as they develop his technique and over the next couple of years, that he will be hopefully a great pass blocker in the near future.
I agree. You see some of these guys that are linemen, and you think to yourself, why can't this, this guy's huge. Why can't he be one of our starting linemen? He just doesn't have it. He doesn't have the skill set that, the top guys have.
All right. So let's just say we decide to go for a Brian Thomas Jr. at wide receiver with the 20th pick overall. Now, we don't get Ayuk, but we have all that money that we'd be paying Ayuk because let's say Thomas Jr. would be on the rookie contract. So then, we got to go with Dan Moore Jr. and let's say we get Zach Frazier as our center. Are you happy with something like that?
I mean, again, I laid out what I feel would be my favorite scenario. But yeah, I mean, I think that would work as well. I don't think you're going to go wrong with either one of those centers, and you're gonna pick up that receiver position. But I got to be honest with you. A lot of people are prioritizing the receiver position in the draft. I don't see it. I just don't see it happening.
Okay, so I'm with you. They're prioritizing the wide receiver. They're prioritizing the quarterback position.
Yeah.
So every time you prioritize that and you move up a little bit and take a guy instead of that takes number 20 up to 16, up to 14. So you're getting like maybe the 14th, 13th best, maybe 12th best player in the NFL draft at position 20 because they are taking risks for quarterbacks of the future that we know a lot of them are going to be busts.
Absolutely. Not to change the subject, but there's not many of these quarterbacks that I think is going to be superstars in the league. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that, I'd like to see all these kids do well, but, I'm just not sold on any of these quarterbacks. I'm going to be honest with you.
A negative Nancy with a positive spin on it. I'm going to root for them, but I don't see them doing well.
I don't know. Which one of these guys which one of these quarterbacks that are constantly being named do you think will be most successful of the bunch?
I would never take a quarterback, ever.
Yeah.
I would always go with a journeyman that can get it done and just pay him, and I know what I'm getting out of him, and I would just load up on offensive and defensive line and then roll the dice from there. We were talking, I'm also a big proponent of having not too many guys on your roster over the age of 30.
Yeah.
Because that's when they're getting into their big contract and their skill set's starting to decline.
Right.
And, if you could trade, and I know that I say this all the time, but like if you could trade someone like a TJ Watt,
right,
who's getting close to 30, who's making a ton of money, who you can get a huge return for and get a bunch of picks and cheap guys for to replace him. I think that that's the way to go for a GM, but the GMs in the league, they just don't seem to see it how I see it. They tend to hang on to their Cam Haywards. What do I call him? Casey Hampton. I was lost there for a second. He brought up some big guy that could be a Casey Hampton, and I kept thinking Hampton and how he would show up to
no, it's all
Latrobe out of shape.
I agree. I mean, I think a perfect case scenario for the point that you're making, Brian, is look at the Pittsburgh Penguins.
It's a young man's sport. I mean, just think about how fast you were at age 22 versus age 34.
And we're continuing to collect these older players, and it's not working for the Penguins. Luckily, what's his name? Retired. That's just Carter. Luckily, he retired because he was dead weight. And there's money we had.
Plus, he was a Flyer to me the whole time. I think he had his Flyers uniform on under the Penguins jersey.
But I mean, that's one piece. That's one piece of the puzzle because he was older, and maybe just maybe. But I like to believe that they are going to continue to sell these jersey names and these names on the back of the jerseys for the Penguins before they actually make a serious move to do a complete overhaul.
Well, this has been awesome. First off, usually about this time in the show, Ryan, we're done.
Yeah.
We get 1 hour, and we're just getting into it.
I
mean, we had Ralph on. We had a great guest on already. We had some good talk between Ryan and myself. We do have Scap Attack, the famous YouTuber, coming on at 5:30 to talk some NBA playoffs, some LeBron James, some Mike Tomlin, some Lamar Jackson. But at 5 o'clock, we are going to have Dan Neely on the other side of this break. So I'm looking forward to talking draft with Dan Neely. We'll be back here in 2 minutes. So you guys have been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM.
This is Andy Toole, men's basketball coach at Robert Morris University, here to talk about my friends at Falcone Moon Township Ford. I know what it takes to win a basketball game. It begins with practice and a team of players who want to win. The same is true of the team at Moon Township Ford. Professionals who will win you over. They'll find the best rate and terms on a car loan to help you get the best deal. Make a fast break and avoid the roadblocks that stop you from finding the car you want. Go where I go. Moon Township Ford.
Falcone's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends.
Whether it's Little League or the big leagues, it's time to get out and play ball. Friendly Federal Credit Union reminds you that every team looks forward to playing at home in front of a live crowd. Seeing loyal fans can help any player feel more comfortable. Just like a home game in baseball, Friendly Federal Credit Union always has friendly faces to help and cheer you on at the teller window. Now get out of that dugout and in front of your cheering section, the personal live tellers at Friendly Federal Credit Union.
Hey, can you imagine trying to hit a fastball or throwing a runner out at home? It's hard to think of doing these things under perfect circumstances, let alone with the distraction and discomfort of dental issues. Regular dental care from Dr. C. Timothy Lip can improve your productivity, happiness, and focus, even if you're not in the big leagues. Dental problems affect more than just your teeth. Visit lipdentistry.com or Dr. C. Timothy Lip Family Dental Offices on College Hill and Robinson Township.
Thinking of what's good for lunch or dinner? Make it McDonald's with a hot and spicy McChicken sandwich available now for a limited time only. Enjoy crispy, tender chicken seasoned with a bold mix of spices, topped with shredded lettuce mayo, and served on a perfectly toasted bun. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. Make sure you check us out on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Today's show is sponsored by Easy Home Exteriors. They do roofing, replacement windows, doors, and entryways, as well as siding. Easy Home Exteriors is your one-stop shop for all of your exterior remodeling needs. For a free estimate, call 412-678-7008. That's 412-678-7008. All right, without further ado, we have our Bills insider, our NFL expert, our fantasy guru, the dancing destroyer, the king of sting, the count of Monte Fisco, the prince of punch, the master of disaster, the one, the only, Dan, the man Neely. Welcome, Dan.
Hey. Nice talking to you guys.
That's the most enthusiastic you've been, I think.
Hey, it's draft eve. I mean, did you hear the excitement in his voice?
Yes. It's all the excitement down in Orlando.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I get so excited for that introduction.
Hey, Dan, let me ask you a quick question. It's 54 degrees here. What is it down in Orlando?
It's about 83, 84.
All right, we're having a rough time here. We might have to cut you off. All right.
Swimming in the pool.
I don't even like you anymore. Well, enjoy that 83-degree weather. It's going to be 98 and it's raining every afternoon come summer, so I'll call you back on those. Let's get into this here real quick. And before we get into the NFL draft, we obviously know that the Steelers need wide receivers, offensive tackles, centers, cornerbacks. Do the Steelers do something dumb and pick anything but those 4 positions in the number 20 pick?
That's a good question. I wouldn't surprise me because the Steelers have a history of developing talent and not really asking, their rookies to do a lot. So if that happens, I would imagine that it's part of a long-term plan to replace somebody, and that they would imagine this player would be, somebody that was going to step into a big role like next year or something.
All right. Well, there's this scene in one of my favorite movies, My Cousin Vinny. And at the end, I guess Joe Pesci has the sheriff go and look up something or whatever, and he calls him back up to the stand. And he doesn't have a line of questioning to ask him. So basically, I'm telling you, I don't have a line of questioning to ask you right now. I'm going to say the quote from My Cousin Vinny. What'd you find out?
Well, I was just looking at the Steelers roster today, trying to get real deep about what I think that I would do if I was the GM there. And I think you're right on all the needs. I see definite need at right tackle. You might be able to get away with waiting on center. I think that, as bad as James Daniels graded, it might be worth trying him another year. And, you got a major hole at wide receiver on the roster opposite Pickens. There's really not even a guy that is in the top 90 in the league, which is not good. But other than that, you got a pretty solid team. I mean, you got a couple good running backs. You got a great tight end room. I think Broderick Jones will probably develop into a good player. Siamalu's playing good. Jackson actually graded the same as Joey Porter Jr. last year. They were tied for the 63rd best corner in the league with a 64.3 grade. So, I mean, that is a perceived strength by some and weakness by some, depending on how you look at it. You got a great defensive line, probably one of the best defensive lines in the NFL. If you just look at the front and don't really call it any positions, just the guys that line up with their hand in the ground. I don't see a big need there at all. I feel like this is a pretty solid roster that really doesn't have any glaring holes, maybe, besides that wide receiver 2. Maybe wide receiver 3 as well, as being the next biggest glaring hole. If I was Pittsburgh, I would come out of this draft with 2 new receivers and probably try to get them in, the top half of the draft.
Okay, so they have picks 20, 51, 84, 98, and 119. Let's just say, for instance, they don't get Ayuk and they don't trade anybody. Where and what do you think they should be doing with those picks at those positions?
I mean, looking at this roster, I'm taking 2 wide receivers within the first 98 picks. You got 4 picks there. 2 of those guys, in my opinion, have got to be wide receivers. I mean, you have to have that position be a strength on this team. It's not like you have Tom Brady back there making, the best out of a ragtag group of receivers. You got a guy that's really going to play the opposite of Brady. He's not really going to throw those middle of the field, easy to complete passes. If Wilson starts and if Field starts, you're going to be developing him this year, a little bit more than expecting, superstardom. I think you're hoping that he just keeps taking positive steps like he did last year and may eventually be that guy. But I think that, I like at 20, there's a handful of prospects that might slip into the 20 range at wide receiver. There's Brian Thomas Jr. with LSU. He has one of the highest RAS scores that the draft has seen in a really long time. And RAS is relative athletic score. And what they basically mean by that is every single player takes the same testing for their position groups. And what they do is they take all the results from all of these athletic tests and they kind of categorize it on what percentile they finished in. So if they're in like the 95th percentile, then that means that they're one of the most elite members of the draft class in that particular test athletically. And what they do is they compile all these tests and they create a score, and they call that the RAS score. And Brian Thomas Jr. is a great candidate at 20. I think he's going to be a phenomenal receiver. He's from LSU. He had 11 touchdowns last year just on go routes. He's a huge field stretcher. I think he's a great fit with Wilson and Fields, and I think he'd really, give Pickens that role of being what he's best at and being that sideline guy and not having to focus on him to just move the chains all the time. And Brian Thomas's RAS score was 9.97. He's going to be there at 20.
And 10's perfect.
A 10's perfect. The only receiver in this draft class with a higher RAS score is A.D. Mitchell from Texas. And A.D. Mitchell, may be one of the most talented players to come into this league in a long time. But he has some concerns. A.D. Mitchell, to me, you really have to do your homework on the kid because he has diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was reading some reports about his diabetes and how he handles it. And, there's a lot of concerns about Mitchell's mental game. He kind of takes plays off. He doesn't practice that hard all the time. And an insider with Texas said that it really has to do with how well he's managing his blood sugar. They said if he has got his blood sugar just right, he's a super hard worker, he's got a great attitude, and he never takes a play off. But when his blood sugar's off just a little bit, that's when he really starts to show some character concerns and some effort concerns. But his RAS score is 9.98. And that's about perfect. So this is about the most perfect prospect. And let me just add, he had the highest catch rate in all college football last year. I don't know what it is for sure, but it's like 92%, which is unbelievably high. And he only had one drop. And the concern I have with him, with that being said, is he did not average 85 yards per game in this last season. And I saw an interesting statistic the other day. It was like a list of 15 prospects or so, and it was all the first round wide receivers that have been taken in the last 10 years or so that didn't average at least 85 yards a game, but were still seen as an elite prospect. And there wasn't a single guy on the list that ever made a Pro Bowl or anything like that. It's really one of the things about evaluating these wide receivers. If you're going to take a guy in the first round, you have to make sure they produce. It can't just be a gym warrior. He has to actually have produced on the field. And as much as I like A.D. Mitchell, I'm just a little concerned about him and with that.
As you were mentioning,
there's a bunch of.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just mentioning the personality issues and things like that. We just got rid of Deontay Johnson almost for the same reason, because he was almost a bad influence on somebody like George Pickens being a younger receiver in the league. It almost makes me feel if they're going to go after a receiver, they're going to go after a guy that could be comparable to a choir boy at this point because of the issues that was going on with Deontay Johnson. And it's a hard thing to do, to get a really good wide receiver that doesn't have that personality. So it's always a tough position to draft.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the one thing about wide receiver is, there's been a lot of really good first-round receivers just in the last few years, and they haven't hit a second contract yet, so it does skew this list just a little bit. But, the top 10 highest-paid receivers in the NFL, and you could just assume that they're all pretty good if they get paid among the top 10 receivers. They were not first-round picks. The number one highest-paid receiver, Tyreek Hill, he was pick 165 in the draft. That was a fifth-round draft pick. Devontae Adams, pick 53. The Steelers are at 51. Cooper Kupp, third highest-paid receiver, pick 69. A.J. Brown, pick 51. The Steelers are right there. DK Metcalf. He's the 5th highest paid receiver in the league, pick 64 in the draft. Deebo Samuel, just graded out of the first round. Same with Michael Pittman. Samuel was 36, Pittman was 34. The only first-round receiver in the entire NFL that's a top 10 paid receiver is Calvin Ridley, who, arguably shouldn't be a top 10 receiver. He just missed about 2 straight years. And, he had 1,000 yards last year, but McLaurin, 76 pick in the draft. Steph Diggs, 146 pick in the draft. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. You do not have to take a receiver in the first round to get a superstar.
Oh, that's an amazing point. I didn't realize it played out like that, Brian. And I think that's pretty awesome. I mean, if you look at somebody like Antonio Brown, same thing. He was a 6th round guy, and them guys aren't always the top couple receivers picked. It's top of the league.
And the Steelers have really done a phenomenal job of drafting and developing wide receivers. To me, as an outsider looking in, I'm always just so impressed with how there always seems to be a guy that just kind of comes out of nowhere and all of a sudden he gets 1,000 yards for 4 or 5 straight seasons. Just about as far back as you can go.
I agree.
You name a wide receiver that was important that the Steelers lost, and you can come up with a wide receiver that filled his shoes with almost a seamless transition the very next season every time.
Yeah, it's been easy come, easy go with these receivers. Dan, we do have to go to a break. I know you're going to stay with us on the other side of the break, so everybody stay tuned. We'll have Dan Neely on the other side of the break here again. You've been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM.
Basketball coach at Robert Morris University, here to talk about my friends at Falcone Moon Township Ford. I know what it takes to win a basketball game. It begins with practice and a team of players who want to win. The same is true of the team at Moon Township Ford. Professionals who will win you over. They'll find the best rate and terms on a car loan to help you get the best deal. Make a fast break and avoid the roadblocks that stop you from finding the car you want. Go where I go. Moon Township Ford.
Falcone's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends.
Whether it's Little League or the big leagues, it's time to get out and play ball. Friendly Federal Credit Union reminds you that every team looks forward to playing at home in front of a live crowd. Seeing loyal fans can help any player feel more comfortable. Just like a home game in baseball, Friendly Federal Credit Union always has friendly faces to help and cheer you on at the teller window. Now get out of that dugout and in front of your cheering section, the personal live tellers at Friendly Federal Credit Union.
Hey, can you imagine trying to hit a fastball or throwing a runner out at home? It's hard to think of doing these things under perfect circumstances, let alone with the distraction and discomfort of dental issues. Regular dental care from Dr. C. Timothy Lip can improve your productivity, happiness, and focus, even if you're not in the big leagues. Dental problems affect more than just your teeth. Visit lipdentistry.com or Dr. C. Timothy Lip Family Dental Offices on College Hill and Robinson Township.
Thinking of what's good for lunch or dinner? Make it McDonald's with a hot and spicy McChicken sandwich available now for a limited time only. Enjoy crispy, tender chicken seasoned with a bold mix of spices, topped with shredded lettuce mayo, and served on a perfectly toasted bun. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. Also, make sure you check us out on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Today's show is sponsored by Easy Home Exteriors. They do roofing, replacement windows, doors, and entryways, as well as siding. Easy Home Exteriors is your one-stop shop for all of your exterior modeling needs. For a free estimate, call 412-678-7008. That's 412-678-7008. You know, Dan, Ryan and I were talking over the last couple of minutes of the break. It was just like how crazy that information is on the wide receivers, especially the 85 yards and then the first round picks and how they're getting paid and how they're not making the Pro Bowl and whatnot. How do you find out all this information?
That's a good question. You know what? How I find this stuff is for probably 20 straight years, I've done extensive research every week all year for fantasy football lineups for DraftKings and FanDuel. and player prop betting. And I do quite a bit of both every week. I sometimes I put in, $1,000 worth of lineups and bets every week in the NFL. And I really want to make sure that I'm having really good information. And I kind of, what happens is I end up subscribing to some of the premium content that's out there. So, I got a full
not the stuff that your mom would be upset that you subscribe to.
Yeah, but more like the wife. The wife probably doesn't know that we pay money for this type of stuff. I kind of keep that secret. Yeah. So she just knows about when we hit big on a week, and that's about it. So she doesn't hear anything from me on Monday or Tuesday. She can pretty much assume I just lost about $1,000.
Yeah, there's no shopping that week.
Yeah, I got this tendency to try to want to, win enough money to not work or something. So I gotta cut that out. It's a bad idea.
Hey, but that reality will never happen for you if you don't take those chances, right, Dan?
You bring up a good point, and this year I'm going to be I'm already working on a website and some podcasts, and one of my weekly articles is going to be called The Millionaire Maker, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to create a parlay, and I'm going to rank them in order from what I like the most to the least most. So if one thing in every single football game that I love enough to bet and I feel real strong about. And the way you build these parlays, you can either do a bunch of stuff in the same game or just one thing from each game, right? And so you can't really just pick your favorite 10 things and put it together. It doesn't work like that. You got to kind of just pick one thing from the Steeler game, one thing from the Bills game, one thing from the Dolphins game, and hope that you can put it all together. And if you have a 16-leg parlay and you bet just $40 on it and you hit it, it'll pay you $300,000. So if you got $100 to burn and you want to take a chance, read my weekly article and just throw it in there. And, maybe if we do this for a few years, we invest a couple $1,000s and eventually one day hit, right? I've tracked it and I've been close. I've hit 14 out of 16 things before. I've had 12 and 13 a whole lot of times.
Wow.
So it's a really fun thing to do. And what I want to do is I want to rank them. So people, don't have to think that they have to do a 16-leg parlay. They can just read the article and say, hey, he likes these three things the best. I'm just going to do a 3-leg parlay for $100 to win $1,000, because that's probably a much smarter bet.
Right.
Well, Dan, we're going to have you on hopefully next week for your reaction to not only the Steelers draft, but the NFL as a whole, as well as the Bills. But we're definitely going to have you on. So whenever you do get that website up and everything going, we definitely want to have you back. Let's dig back into the Steelers draft if we could. You'd mentioned that you want 2 wide receivers for the Steelers in the top, 98 picks. And we had just gone over that maybe drafting one in the first round isn't the smartest idea because the track record hasn't worked out. Who do you like the Steelers to take at pick 20 if it's not a wide receiver then?
It's a good question. My gut instinct told me that I think they should take a center. But after I was really looking at their lineup and looking at all what Pro Football Focus has to say, I really think they should probably go offensive tackle. And I really think offensive tackle is a bigger need for them. And I do think that looking at their top 30 visits, I'm seeing that the Steelers are actually having the wide receivers that are probably going to be there around 50 in for a visit. For example, Ricky Pearsall, great player out of Florida. He's going to be there at 51 probably, and if he's not going to have gone much sooner than that. Malachi Corley, man, do I love this guy. He is I'll tell you what, he's not a real big guy, but when he catches a ball, he forces you to make a business decision every single time. I mean, he is going to take you out. He's only 205 pounds. But he plays like he's the strongest guy on the field, and he is not afraid of anybody or anything. He's more of a slot guy. Xavier Legette, his range is anywhere from 30 to 55. I could see him going, in that second round range. And when I'm looking at the offensive tackles that the Steelers have brought in, I'm seeing guys that are pretty high on the list. Troy Fatnu, he is an incredible good player. His RAS score is 9.45, which is, just about as good as it gets. Amarius Mims from Georgia, RAS score 9.58. I mean, to me, just not looking too into it, I'm seeing the Steelers are looking at, by their pre-draft visit, they're looking at offensive linemen in the first round, and for the most part, I think they had A.D. Mitchell in from Texas, the guy we were talking about at wide receiver. But other than that, they haven't brought in these first-round receivers that they'd be lucky to slide to 20. They have receivers more in the range of lucky to be there at 51 or 84. So, yeah, I think that offensive tackle would be my answer to that question, and I think a lot of it has to do with, what I see that Pittsburgh actually did. I know Tomlin's trying to say that he just brings in people to confuse people, but that doesn't trick me. I
think he tricks himself, maybe.
Guys in, Yeah, what they do on these visits is a lot of times they have a few of these guys like almost tied, and they just bring them in to see which guy's smartest. If they got a tie on their athletic ability, they want to gauge how well they think they're going to retain the offense and how quick of a learner they are. And, sometimes you get some guys that you definitely knock down the list when they come visit.
All right. Any other Steelers stuff you have going before we move around to just the NFL in general in the draft?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, just about 2 hours ago, I saw a pretty interesting report. Comes from one of the big names in the NFL. They're claiming that there are talents because their position really doesn't offer a lot of flexibility. And, when you're a slot guy, you're kind of only a slot guy. You don't really get a lot to out of them besides coming out of the slot. So,
especially with a 5'10" quarterback.
I think that would be a good move, bringing Sutton in.
Yeah. I mean, he's not Brandon Ayuk, but he's not a bad wide receiver there, is he?
No, I think he's been a guy that really hasn't had, the best quarterback play the last 4 or 5 years in a row.
I got some bad news, though. He's getting the same quarterback.
I saw a funny meme the other day on Earth Day. It said the Steelers are recycling washed up quarterbacks for Earth Day.
I saw that one. I believe you shared it to me, and I shared it all over social media.
Hey, what do you guys think about the Steelers declining the option on Fields? That really surprised me. I think that I would have done that option. Just
here's my thing. I don't think they're done with Fields, though, necessarily. I think they're going to try to renegotiate something else with him, and I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I think that that's what's up their sleeves.
Yeah, that option, it does kind of paint you in a corner a little bit because all of a sudden you're a pretty high paid player, and once you take that option on somebody and you make him a $25 million a year quarterback, I'm pretty sure the year after that he's not going to want to take 15.
Right. He's not going to take a reduction.
So you got to be careful with those fifth-year options. But most of the time you end up losing the player. Probably 7 or 8 out of 10 times teams lose those players once they don't take that option. It's almost like you're giving up on them when you don't take that. And sadly enough, I was a little bit discouraged. I really hope Justin Fields works out for you guys because I just personally don't want to have to watch Russell Wilson play quarterback for 17 games again.
Well, I'm afraid I've got some bad news for you, Dan. I think he's going to be the starter, him and his entourage with Sierra and whatnot. So, what else is going on? I guess we got a couple minutes here before we have to go to break and let you go, Dan. Any other NFL surprises you see, let's say day 1, day 2?
One thing that I'm a big Pennsylvania guy. I know I live in Florida, but I've only been down here a year and a half, and one thing I always kind of keep an eye on and is the Pennsylvania prospects. You know, I always keep an eye on the Penn State guys and the Pitt guys. You know, and I liked when Penny Pickett went to Pittsburgh because I'm just a big Pittsburgh guy. You know, I lived in Pittsburgh down there with you, and I really liked it a lot.
Yeah, you're a big Pirates fan for some unknown reason.
A lot of Penn State guys are really highly sought after in this draft. I mean, there's an offensive tackle out of Penn State. I don't think I could pronounce his name if you paid me, but it's like Olamuayaya Shanu. And he's a phenomenal prospect. If they took him at 20, I think that they'd be set at offensive tackle for the next 10 years. With, you know, if given that Broderick Jones works out. They got two great interior lineman prospects. They have there's a wide receiver out of Pittsburgh. His name's Bub Means. Have you guys watched Pitt at all? Do you guys know about Bub Means?
Absolutely, yeah.
I'll tell you what, I loved his film. I mean, I don't know what's not to love about the guy. His RAS score is 9.7. So, you know, when I look at the RAS score, I think of it as their ceiling, right? I think of the RAS score as their ceiling. And, you know, the mental stuff has to be there, too, and they don't really judge that with the RAS score. So you really got to put your time in with these players to get the maximum athletic ability out of them. And, you know, and I see a guy like Chop Robinson being the second highest RAS scored defensive edge rusher at 9.69. I think, wow. And Adisa Isis from Penn State, he was a eighth best RAS score with 8.77. Penn State has a linebacker, Curtis Jacobs, with an incredibly high RAS score, 9.09. Yeah, I really, you know, being a Pennsylvania guy, I kind of have a affirmation for keeping an eye on these guys. And the Terry Pagula, the owner of the Bills, he's a big Penn State guy. He basically built the whole athletic complex. He donated down there, and basically he's probably given Penn State $100 million since he bought the Bills. And the Bills have kind of been a little bit of a Penn State football program themselves. We've been seeming to sign 2-3 Penn State guys every off season, and they're all working out pretty good for us. And I always was a Penn State fan growing up. I still am.
All right, Dan. Well, we appreciate you coming on. That was some really good stuff.
Yeah.
If you're okay for next week, we'd love to have you on to react to the Steelers draft and the draft in general, if that's okay with you.
I can't wait. I'll make sure I keep my schedule clear for you guys.
All right. Thanks again, Dan.
From that 82-degree sun down in Orlando in the swimming pools.
Yeah, enjoy the weather, Dan.
Hey, you guys got a free place to stay literally any time. You know, Frontier's basically giving tickets away. So, yeah.
All right, Dan.
You could probably fly a round trip for $100 down here. Come on down.
Wow.
Thanks for the invite.
Yes.
All right, guys. On the other side of the break, we are going to have the famous YouTuber Scap Attack. You guys have been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We'll be right back to One Man's Opinion on Sports.
Be the grilling expert on your block and buy a grill built to last like the Weber Spirit or Broil King Pro for $829 or the Napoleon Freestyle for just $449. Plus free assembly and delivery. Check out our full lineup of Amish-made outdoor poly furniture on display now and take an extra 10% off until May 15th. Grills and outdoor furniture built to last. Only at AK Nayhouse Appliance, Furniture, Mattress, and TV in Industry, PA. You'll do okay with AK.
Whether it's Little League or the big leagues, it's time to get out and play ball. Friendly Federal Credit Union reminds you that every team looks forward to playing at home in front of a live crowd. Seeing loyal fans can help any player feel more comfortable. Just like a home game in baseball, Friendly Federal Credit Union always has friendly faces to help and cheer you on at the teller window. Now get out of that dugout and in front of your cheering section. The personal live tellers at Friendly Federal Credit Union.
Hey, can you imagine trying to hit a fastball or throwing a runner out at home? It's hard to think of doing these things under perfect circumstances, let alone with the distraction and discomfort of dental issues. Regular dental care from Dr. C. Timothy Lip can improve your productivity, happiness, and focus, even if you're not in the big leagues. Dental problems affect more than just your teeth. Visit lipdentistry.com or Dr. C. Timothy Lip Family Dental Offices on College Hill and Robinson Township.
Thinking of what's good for lunch or dinner? Make it McDonald's with a hot and spicy McChicken sandwich available now for a limited time only. Enjoy crispy, tender chicken seasoned with a bold mix of spices, topped with shredded lettuce mayo, and served on a perfectly toasted bun. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
It's now time for One Man's Opinion on Sports with Bryan Pasquale. The phone lines are open at 724-843-1888 and 724-774-1888. You can also watch live on the WBVP-WNBA Facebook page. Here is your host, Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. Also, make sure you check us out on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Today's show is sponsored by Easy Home Exteriors. They do roofing, replacement windows, doors, and entryways, as well as siding. Easy Home Exteriors is your one-stop shop for all of your exterior remodeling needs. For a free estimate, call 412-678-7008. That's 412-678-7008. It is my pleasure to welcome my favorite YouTuber. No one has better content, delivery, and voice. Let's welcome Scap Attack, Mr. Jay Skapanik. Welcome to the show, Jay.
Brian, what's up? Thanks so much for having me.
You know what? I want to say this to everyone. I've been watching LeBron James since he was in high school. I went to see him play George Junior Republic when he was, I believe, a senior, and George Junior Republic beat them. And my sister knew Verjao very well from the Cavs back in the day. She used to help him pick out all the suits and whatever. She worked up at Ralph Lauren up there. She went to Kent State. And so my daughter, even when she was young, she called him DeBron, because she was so young she couldn't say LeBron. And over the years, actually, since I guess LeBron's decision, I started to really look into his game, his personality, his on-court, off-court, and I've noticed how overrated he is by the media and by the shills. And I found this YouTuber, Bruce Blitz, and he felt the same way I did. And as I dug further, I found Angry Old Hoops Fan, and somehow, some way, that led me to your YouTube page, Scap Attack. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and how you started becoming a famous YouTuber?
Well, thanks, Brian. It was an interesting journey. I'm from Pittsburgh myself, and born and raised, and I went to Penn State, graduated, in the mid-2000s. I actually went there for journalism. I have a broadcast journalism and print journalism double major. And, I basically worked for, Penn State Public Broadcasting for about 2 years. And then I decided to kind of move around, get out of the media, work in a different, like a sales capacity. I got away from it for a number of years, and I've been an avid sports fan, an avid NBA fan for basically 25, 30 years. LeBron James' career for his entire run. I actually saw him play in high school as well. I've just been a huge critic of his game here, and one thing led to another. After 15 years of being out of the media, I finally decided I was going to get back into it. And what better way than in this digital age than to create a YouTube channel and kind of dip my toe into it and see what I could create.
Well, you've only been on there for a few months from what I could see. I would say about a year or so or less. You already have over 41,000 followers. I think when I started following you, only had like a few thousand. And your content has gotten, you pretty much put something out every day, do you not?
Yeah, I aim for a release every day if I can, at least probably 5 videos a week. And yeah, it's been a little about less than a year, I would say right now, maybe just over a year since I started doing this. So the growth has been definitely something that I didn't really expect, but it's going quickly, and my expectation is hopefully to be at over 50,000 by the end of the playoffs here.
All right. Well, everybody that's listening now, make sure you check out Scap Attack on YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share, check out some things. I'll tell you what, you do have a Mike Tomlin one that I love, and it's called Fraud. I believe you had one about a year ago, and then you had one more recently after the loss in the playoffs. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about that?
Yeah, NBA I've always been big on, dating back to Jordan in the 90s. And then, I saw Kobe Bryant play when he was in high school as well, like I did with LeBron. So I became a big Kobe guy. So Jordan and Kobe were probably my two favorite athletes. And, from there, that kind of led and drove my opinion and feelings on LeBron James. However, I am a big NFL fan as well. And, of course, being born and raised and growing up in Pittsburgh, I was a humongous Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Essentially from the time I could walk, I was a big Steelers fan. So much so that, I would skip school for about a week. Whenever they would lose in the playoffs when I was in grade school, my teachers all knew it as the Steeler flu, because I would just be out for an entire week mourning the loss of my favorite team. And like any fan, preferably all fans, actually, I was not a fair weather fan. I loved the Steelers through their ups and downs, through their success and their failures. However, stick with a team, definitely, if they themselves, in my opinion, are not willing to improve and strive for that excellence. And Mike Tomlin has been a massive failure as the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. Of course, he did have early success based mainly on, Bill Cowher's players, the supporting cast of coaches that were in place at that time, including, Dick LeBeau, legendary defensive coordinator Dick LeBeau. And, once those players started aging out or moving on, once that coaching staff, retired and moved on to other opportunities, essentially, Mike Tomlin has whittled it down to his guys, his players, and the Steelers have won basically nothing over the last now 13 years and counting. It is almost unbelievable, his level of failure over the last 13 years. 5 missed playoff seasons, 13 seasons, and 3 total playoff wins over that span of time. Just, for some context, the Ravens during that 13-year span have 12 playoff wins in our own division, and that's not even the best in the league. So when did it be okay? When did it become acceptable for the Pittsburgh Steelers to be a second-class citizen in their own division? This is a team that has been, excellent, great, dynastic throughout the course of decades of NFL history. This guy, the futility, with, again, they have had the third most Pro Bowlers over this 13-year span, all for 3 total playoff wins. The time to make a change has passed. We're talking years now that Tomlin is working on borrowed time. So I'm just hoping that the Steelers will, at some point, sometime in my lifetime, make some kind of a change and care about winning again.
Well, Mike McCarthy and Mike Tomlin have had similar careers as of the last, let's say, 10 years or so. One's walking on eggshells and one's walking into the Hall of Fame, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, McCarthy was fired in Green Bay with a very, as you said, almost an identical career resume to that of Mike Tomlin. They're spot on in career win percentage. It's like Tomlin's 63%. I think McCarthy's around 62%. McCarthy actually has two more playoff wins than Tomlin. Mike Tomlin, one of the narratives that I love most about this guy is that he's never had a losing season. He's always over 500 every year, except for when it matters most in the playoffs, where he's 8-10. So, yeah, McCarthy actually has a better playoff record than this guy. And I'm actually stunned that the Cowboys let McCarthy keep his job. A down year, a year that doesn't at least produce an NFC championship run for McCarthy, and I believe he's out. Whereas Tomlin, basically every year, he just sits back and decides what he wants to do. He lets the Steelers. He informs the Steelers organization of what he feels like doing with his future. It's absolutely unbelievable how this guy has gotten away with this level of failure and still is coddled, I guess not so much by actually the local Pittsburgh media, but the mass media. He is essentially the LeBron James of the NFL. He does nothing. He fails repeatedly, and yet he is a genius and this all-time great coach. And we're the ones that should feel privileged for being able to have him be our coach.
Hey, so, Jay, before we go to break, I have about a minute. Are you going to be able to stay on for another segment? Because I want to get into some NBA stuff with you. Jay, are you there?
Yeah, I can stay on, Brian.
Okay, excellent. My producer has one question for you.
Stay on, absolutely.
Okay, my producer has one question for you here before we go to break.
Yeah. He, Brian is always, he's trying to spread the word about you, and he's, constantly talking about your videos. Huge fan he is. And we were just talking before we came back from break, and he said to make sure we ask you about the Lamar Jackson loser video.
Yeah, Lamar. So, I might have misspoke before when I said Mike Tomlin is the LeBron of the NFL. It's actually Lamar Jackson, LeBron Jackson, LeBum Jackson, whatever you want to say. 2 league MVPs for this guy. Two.
Unbelievable.
2 league MVPs, 2 playoff game wins. It's absolutely astounding to me that this guy has more. He has as many league MVPs as Joe Montana has. He has more league MVPs than Dan Marino, than John Elway, for 2 playoff wins. Incredible.
Jeez.
All right, well, listen, we have to go to break, Jay. We'll have Jay from Scap Attack here on the other side of the break. You guys have been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM.
Whether it's Little League or the big leagues, it's time to get out and play ball. Friendly Federal Credit Union reminds you that every team looks forward to playing at home in front of a live crowd. Seeing loyal fans can help any player feel more comfortable. Just like a home game in baseball, Friendly Federal Credit Union always has friendly faces to help and cheer you on at the teller window. Now get out of that dugout and in front of your cheering section, the personal live tellers at Friendly Federal Credit Union.
This is Andy Toole, men's basketball coach at Robert Morris University, here to talk about my friends at Falcone Moon Township Ford. I know what it takes to win a basketball game. It begins with practice and a team of players who want to win. The same is true of the team at Moon Township Ford. Professionals who will win you over. They'll find the best rate and terms on a car loan to help you get the best deal. Make a fast break and avoid the roadblocks that stop you from finding the car you want. Go where I go. Moon Township Ford.
Falcone's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends.
Give your wallet a break. A spring break with great new furniture styles for your home at AK Nay House. Create something special and unique for your home with comfortable handcrafted furniture by England made in the hills of Appalachia. For a limited time, get an extra 15% off all England furniture, including custom orders and 12-month special financing with free local delivery. Customized furniture available in over 400 fabrics in just 4 weeks. AK Nay House Appliance, Furniture, Mattress, and TV. You'll do okay with AK.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. He's here to take your calls at 724-774-1888 or 724-843-1888. Also, make sure you check us out on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Today's show is sponsored by Easy Home Exteriors. They do roofing, replacement windows, doors, and entryways, as well as siding. Easy Home Exteriors is your one-stop shop for all of your exterior modeling needs. For a free estimate, call 412-678-7008. That's 412-678-7008. We do have Jay on the line, Mr. Scap Attack on YouTube. I just saw that 2 hours ago you posted a video. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to watch it yet, but a couple days ago, before the 76ers and the Lakers played, you have the 2 media-created frauds facing must-win games, and guess what? Joel Embiid and LeBron James did not win. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, Joel Embiid is rapidly becoming one of the media darlings here to join LeBron James. Last year we saw Embiid absolutely gifted a fraudulent and ridiculously undeserving league MVP. He kind of parallels Lamar Jackson as well in this sense. Joel Embiid was well on his way to getting a second league MVP when he got hurt this year and had to shut it down with a knee injury. Other than that, he was easily the leading favorite to win a back-to-back league MVP. This all despite the fact he has never in his NBA career been out of the second round of the NBA playoffs. So, this year it seemed like the bracket had really opened up for him with the struggles in Milwaukee. Their star there, Giannis Antetokounmpo, is still sidelined with some kind of a calf strain, and they're tied up in their series with Indiana 1-1. So really they had a free pass to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they would then get the juggernaut Celtics this year if they could just get, by this first round. Now, give Embiid a bit of a pass because the knee, he's really banged up. He physically does not look right, and he's gut checking it through these games. With that said, again, he's 30. I believe he's 30 years old now. He's not been out of the second round yet. So, in my estimation, you're on the court. He's hurt, but if you're on the court, I really don't want to hear the injury excuse. And they, had a game right there for the taking in Game 2 in that 1-0 hole. They were up 5 with about 30 seconds remaining in that game. That's just a game you have to get over the hump. Now, the officials came out and said they had missed 2 calls in those last 30 seconds, which obviously helped them through the choke job. Brian, a lot of what I'm saying now parallels the Laker game, too, which was on that same night as Philadelphia played New York. And the Lakers had it all going in that game. They had a 20-point lead in the third quarter of that game. It was about the 7 or 8 minute mark, actually, of the game. They had a 20-point lead, essentially halfway through the third. That's a game you just simply have to get through. You have to hold on to that game. It changes the entire complexity of the series. They would have been split 1-1 going back to Los Angeles. And, of course, the fraud king LeBron joked away. He had a wide-open shot. This was a shoot-around level shot, Brian. And actually, right before the playoffs began, a video went viral that LeBron posted of him playing horse with his son in his driveway. And, he made this shot from, looked like about NBA 3 distance, and he was laughing at his son, saying he's the GOAT. Come on, the shot's going in. I'm the GOAT. Well, LeBron, those shots look a little more different in clutch time, where he routinely fails and chokes throughout the course of his NBA career. And he did, in that game, too, with 14 seconds remaining. Could have tied the series. Of course, gagged that shot away. Jamal Murray hits the game-winning buzzer beater at the other end. And now the Nuggets are up 2-0, which is kind of insurmountable. Teams all-time in NBA history that fall into that 0-2 hole only are 33 and 416. So that's the odds the Lakers face now against a team that has beaten them 10 straight times now.
Yeah, if you guys missed the play, there was about 16 seconds left. LeBron's about at the 3-point line, just off to the side there, and he pushes the defender down. No offensive call, of course, because they will never call him for a push-off. He had all day to shoot it with about 14 seconds left, shoots a brick off the back of the iron, and then Jamal Murray comes down and hits the game winner over Anthony Davis to put them up 2-0. There's other, before I get into some of the guys that you like, there's some other chokers like Chris Paul, James Harden, and then obviously the coattail riding Draymond Green that you have videos about. Tell us a little bit about them.
Well, Brian, the list is long and distinguished of the bum and fraud players that we have populating this alleged best era ever. It's pretty nauseating for myself. I was born in the early mid 80 range. So, like I said earlier, I grew up kind of in the 90s. I was young, but I still remember Jordan. In that span of time. And then really I came up in the early 2000s watching Kobe and Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki, some of these other players. And now to see these teenage losers out there on social media that think that this is the best era, it's absolutely fantastical and laughable every time I see about the athletic superiority of these players and how much better the game is, how much more skilled they are. Because like you referenced, there's just so many guys. James Harden is a historically elite scorer. If you look back, he's a league MVP, and yet this guy, he's been to one NBA Finals in his entire career, and it was when he was the sixth man with the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team that had Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. Actually, they played the LeBron James super team Miami Heat in that, and Harden was the principal reason that the Thunder did not win that series. And he's just been gagging and choking ever since. Like you said, we have the point fraud, Chris Paul. You know, he's been glossed the point god by some blowhard national media pundits. I like to call him the point fraud because, yeah, this is a guy who's played in one NBA Finals in his entire career into his now late 30s, and that was with the Phoenix Suns against the Milwaukee Bucks in 2021. This guy was up 2-0 and got hit with that 4-0 run by Giannis. They won 4 straight games, and that was Chris Paul's only Finals appearance. I mean, Draymond Green, what can be said about this coattail riding bum? Draymond Green thinks he has revolutionized the NBA in some way. Thinks that he is part of this Golden State dynastic team. In actuality, he just kind of rode Steph Curry and Klay Thompson's coattails, and all the way into the Hall of Fame, mind you, because seemingly this guy is going to get into the Hall of Fame with all of, I think he has 7 or 8 point per game and 7 rebound per game averages for his career. I mean, this era is absolutely laughable.
All right, so you mentioned Kobe and Jordan. Growing up, my favorite player was Reggie Miller, and I really wanted the Indiana Pacers to beat the Jordan Bulls in the 98 finals. And it turns out that Michael Jordan just shut Reggie Miller down in the fourth quarter of Game 7, and Reggie Miller got off one shot. Yes, one shot in the entire fourth quarter, and it was an air ball 3 with final seconds on. So obviously I knew that Michael Jordan just had the killer instinct in him. Kobe Bryant has it. Do you see any players playing today with the killer instinct?
You know, I like some young players. I'm not ready to really put anyone in the level yet of those legends. Even I'll go before my time because I'm a historian of the game, like to a Larry Bird level, like that mentality, that will, that desire to not just win but to humiliate your opponent, to crush them, to dispirit them. I like the young, he's only 22 years old, Anthony Edwards. He plays for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Timberwolves were in contention for the number 1 seed in the West all year. They had a bunch of injuries. They lost Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert there. Rudy Gobert is probably going to be the Defensive Player of the Year this year, and Karl Anthony Towns is their second best player. So they both missed a good chunk of games this year, and yet the Timberwolves still, they were like one game. They won one fewer game than the Thunder and the Denver Nuggets this year. So I really like them, and they're all over Phoenix early on. They're up 2-0 on the Suns right now, and he destroyed Kevin Durant in the first game. He had a tough shooting night last night, but they still get the 2-0 advantage in that series. I like the young transcendent guard in Oklahoma City, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's one of the 3 finalists for MVP this year, along with Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic. Not only did, Shai averaged about 30 points per game, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. He also, though, led the NBA in steals this year. So I love to see a guy competing on both sides. So those are 2 young players I like, and I have the utmost respect. Probably I respect no player right now, and basically since Kobe retired, I respect no player as much as I do Nikola Jokic. He doesn't quite have the same feel, the same fire, the same tenacity that the Birds and the Jordans and the Kobes had, but the guy's an absolute winner. He makes everyone around him better. He's playing on a roster that has no other All-Stars. And when I say that, I don't mean that no one was selected to an All-Star team this year other than him. I mean, no one in their entire careers on that roster has ever been selected to an All-Star team other than DeAndre Jordan, and that was like 8 years ago, and he barely plays, like 8 minutes a game right now. So none of the core rotational players have ever been an All-Star, and they look like they're heading into a repeat of the championship that he won last year. So Nikola Jokic is kind of on a trajectory to be that next hierarchical, like all-time kind of top 10 to 15 player. He's probably going to win his 3rd league MVP this year, very deserving in my estimation. And I do like them to win the championship this year.
Oh, yes. I saw an interview with him whenever they were talking about that he had to stick around another day or so for the parade after they won the championship, and he was all ticked off because he just wanted to go home to his horses.
Yeah, it was incredible. Like, this guy, he owns like a farm in Serbia and a couple horses. I mean, he is the antithesis of LeBron James. The me first, blame my teammate guy. You know, Nikola Jokic is just a supreme teammate. He's uplifting everybody. He makes everybody else better, and he never makes it about himself. He always credits everyone else but himself when they have success.
All right, we have about 1 more minute. I have he's not in the playoffs, but what are your thoughts on Victor Wembanyama?
You know, Brian, I try to push back on the crop of young players. I'm like a curmudgeonly old guy, like get off my lawn kind of guy. I like old movies, old music, old athletes. I don't like to give the young guys their due until they earn it, until they deserve it. But Victor Wembanyama has a shot to be purely historical as well. If he could avoid any like sustained or serious injuries, which a player of that size, we've seen them have a lot of trouble staying healthy in the past. But what I saw from him this year is absolutely unbelievable. He could be the best player on the defensive end as early as next season. This guy shoots threes. He's 7'4". His post game is well advanced to his age, which I believe he's only 19 or 20 years old. He could be a historically great player as well. Just has to stay healthy.
All right. Well, that was fantastic. This is Jay. Make sure you go to YouTube, Scap Attack. Make sure you like, subscribe, check out his videos. Thank you so much for joining us, Jay.
Brian, my pleasure. I was getting a little feedback in the beginning of the call, so if I was stumbling a little bit at the start, I apologize to you and your viewers, but it was a pleasure to be on with you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, sir.
All right, we'll be back here to talk some more Pirates into the lead into the pregame at 6:15. You guys have been listening to WVVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM.
It started with a road trip into the American Midwest. Huntington bankers with one mission, to understand how people made sense of money. And that's how we met Jason.
How do I save money? Jars. Whatever loose cash I have at the end of the day goes into the concert tickets jar, the vacation jar. You get it.
And that's how we came up with personalized goals for your savings accounts. Our customers give us the best ideas. Huntington, welcome. Member FDIC. Learn more at huntington.com.
Has your classic car or hot rod seen better days? Just call me, Dave Rodenbaugh, and my team at the Pennsylvania Hot Rod Company. The full-service hot rod shop offers it all. Everything from custom fabrication and restoration to regular maintenance and collision repair. With over 40 years of experience, there isn't a job too big or too small. The Pennsylvania Hot Rod Company's enclosed trailer service ensures safe transit for your ride during any season. The Pennsylvania Hot Rod Company is located at 6th Street in Beaver Falls. Visit pahotrod.com or call 412-719-4950.
One of the greatest honors a person can receive is to be gathered with their people at the time of their passing. Even biblical authors, when they wanted to explain what it meant to have lived a great, prosperous, and meaningful life, spoke of the individual as having lived a long time and being gathered with friends and relatives near as they closed out their twilight years. Being gathered together with loved ones is something that the J&J Spratt Funeral Home takes very seriously as well. The comfort both given and received cannot be underestimated. J&J Spratt Funeral Home also knows that the honor shown to a loved one at their time of need in this manner is still the right thing to do today. J&J Spratt Funeral Home has been gathering together with area families for 4 generations and looks forward to honoring future residents deserving of being gathered together with friends and family. Click jjsprattfh.com.
Now back to One Man's Opinion with Bryan Pasquale.
Welcome back to One Man's Opinion on Sports with me, Bryan Pasquale. I'm here at the St. Barnabas Studios. Joining me today is my producer, Ryan Garazunas. He is ready to take your calls at 724-774-1888 or 724-843-1888. Also, make sure you check us out on Beaver County Radio Facebook Live and Beaver County Radio YouTube. Today's show is sponsored by Easy Home Exteriors. They do roofing replacement, windows, doors, and entryways, as well as siding. Easy Home Exteriors is your one-stop shop for all of your exterior remodeling needs. For a free estimate, call 412-678-7008. That's 412-678-7008. We are going to lead you up to 6:15 for the Pirates pregame show here on Beaver County Radio. I'd like to thank my guests so far today. We had Ralph Williams from the Sports Corner. You can catch him every Tuesday here on Beaver County Radio from 4 to 6. Also, Dan Neely, who will have his website up here shortly, our NFL expert, and Jay Skapanik from Scap Attack YouTube. I've probably butchered his last name several times. I apologize, Jay. It's just one of those things where I called him, Ryan, on the way here just to check to make sure I could pronounce his last name properly.
Right.
And as he told it to me, I was like, I'm going to butcher this. And I was so nervous when
Literally
I called him.
as he's telling you.
Oh, here's how it went. So Jay Scap Attack on YouTube. He's my favorite YouTuber by far. There's not even a close second. You guys got to go check it out. All right. So I call him for the first time. We've texted back and forth. You know, he's coming on the show. Of course. And I call him, and he's like, "Hello," and I go, "Hey, it's Bryan Pasquale." Click. I was like, "Oh, geez. I guess this isn't happening.
This isn't going to go well."
And I'm like, oh man. And he called me back and he's like, I don't know what happened there. Sorry about that. So I was like, all right. So now my heart's pumping and I'm like, all right, I got this famous YouTuber coming on and he's one of my idols. And I don't have idols.
You're
like,
right.
he just does a great job. You know, his presentation, his editing, everything he does. He puts out about a video a day. He's got one he put out about 2 hours ago. After the show here, I'm probably going to listen to it. So I want to special thanks to Scap Attack. Jay, sorry for butchering your last name, but we do want to talk a little bit of Pirates here. We got about 10 minutes, right?
Before we do that, let me jump in here real quick, Brian. You know, if you like a lot of people have probably seen the movie Step Brothers with Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly. John C. Reilly. And that was the main thing. Every time he said something, and like I said, I'm hearing this, and it sounds like you. I'm having a conversation with you. The things that he's saying, and every time he did, you got this look on your face, like that on Step Brothers, where he said, "We just became best friends, didn't we?" And that was the look on your face, and I feel it because again, I know your opinions, I know your views, and this dude, he it's no surprise to me that you are a huge fan, and I can't wait to check out his work.
Yes. So during the middle of the video, or during the middle of the interview, Ryan, my producer, texted me, "This is what I imagine the voice inside your head sounds like." Laugh out loud. Yes, 100%. Because, for so many years, I'm out there saying, like, LeBron's overrated. He's overrated. He's not a top 10 NBA player all the time. He's overrated. He lacks this. He lacks that. He cries about this. He's a terrible human for that. He's a bad teammate, blah, 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 blah. And everybody just looks at me like I'm crazy. They're like, no. He's either the best or one of the best. He's either the best or one of the best. And I'm like, he's not. And I found a few YouTubers, and they agree with every flaw that he has that I see and I've seen, and the media just covers up. It's like when the president does something stupid and CNN covers it up for him, or the former president does something stupid and Fox covers it up for him. That's the same thing. I don't want to mention because I don't want to give free advertisement here, but the big networks that cover these, their interest is not to tell you the truth. Their interest is to get you to watch and to make it seem like you're watching something you've never seen before. Meanwhile, it's not.
I agree. I agree 100%, Brian. As a matter of fact, I've been saying recently, I think this is a strategy that the WNBA needs to take on, because you want to try to build these bigger than life characters to bring fans in, I would think. And I think with this crop of ladies coming up from college now, you have an opportunity to do that. And but you could totally see how it comes into play with LeBron James. I do have a question. Let me ask you this. Now, Jordan's career, it was a rather short career. He was drafted in 84. He was done by 96, came back for 2 seasons or whatnot. And then Kobe Bryant, I'm sorry, didn't have the longest career ever. Let me ask you, if either one of these two guys would have had the longevity that LeBron James has, and played that whole entire amount of time that he has, wouldn't their numbers just be astronomical? And you wouldn't even be able to have the same conversation as LeBron belong in the same conversation as Kobe Bryant. Does he belong in the same conversation as Michael Jordan? I just think that if he wants to stay around forever, it's going to make him look like he's one of the greatest players because by default he's going to get the numbers, correct?
Here's the thing, and a lot of people say, well, LeBron James has the most points ever in the NBA. Well, he's 6 shots away, missed shots away from having the most missed shots in the NBA.
That needs to be
right. LeBron James has X amount of assists. Well, he's by far and away the all-time turnovers leader too. So when you give him his props for the positives, you have to tag along the longevity negatives as well. And if Michael Jordan played as long as LeBron, one, I think he would have to go to the Balco system. Allegedly. But Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant played it so hard every game. Michael Jordan played every game as if some kid that couldn't afford to see him somehow sold whatever, scratched together whatever nickels he could, and paid to see him play. Yeah. And so he needed to put out his best performance. LeBron, it's all about him. And these players now, it's all about them. And if they want to take a night off, they're going to take a night off. So I don't think that Michael Jordan and Kobe could play as long as LeBron has because the effort is there not only during the games, but practice. We talk about practice.
But it's such a good point that you're making, Brad, because those things need to be clarified for people because younger folks that are growing up in the LeBron era, and you can't blame the kids. I mean, this is what they know. This is what they turn on the TV and see. But that needs to be clarified more, I think, just in general. You know what? He has the most points. However, he is 6 missed shots away from having the most missed shots ever. And I think that puts it more into perspective for people.
Not only that, I mean, he leads the league in flops by, he has to have at least like 10 times more of the flop. And it's so sad. You watch international soccer games and it's like, somebody gets the ball and they act like their leg broke in half and every time LeBron gets like touched, he's on the ground rolling around. I've never been hit in the thigh. And for some reason, I got to grab my face and roll around on the ground. Like it's a natural reaction for them, and it's not just him. He's like the leader of the bunch, and it's really, really ruining the game I grew up loving and adoring. And that's what I guess when people ask like what I'm so upset about, I'm not upset. It's just I know the NBA could be such a better product.
Absolutely.
Adam Silver, I didn't even get into discussion with Adam Silver. He's the worst commissioner.
Yeah.
The ratings are up in WNBA. The ratings are up in NFL. The ratings are up in NHL. The ratings are up in MLB. And they're down in the NBA, and it's for a reason. It's the product they're putting out there.
And, you could trace that back to the All-Star game. I don't recall what the numbers were, but I think the NBA All-Star game it scored awfully low compared to the other major leagues. Baseball, which I don't feel that a lot of people are watching, beat NBA with the All-Star. I don't know what they're doing.
I saw a YouTuber, not Scap Attack, but a different YouTuber, and he put up a split screen of, I don't know, maybe like the 97 or 98 NBA All-Star game.
Yeah.
And the split screen wasn't with this All-Star game. It was with like an intense rivalry game. NBA game, and they just showed the plays side by side. The All-Star game, there was so much more intensity than just games today, let alone an All-Star game where it's a complete joke. I can't believe people paid money to go to that.
I just seen a meme yesterday on, I believe, Facebook. And, it's wild because on one hand, you see just total Jordan lovers and LeBron haters. And then on the other hand, it's the total opposite. And there was a picture that was shown, and there was Muggsy Bogues standing right next to Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. And the comment was something like, this is the best GOAT ever. This is his competition. And, of course, Muggsy Bogues was 5'3". But these kind of things that manipulate people's opinion, ultimately, what forms what people believe are facts. And it's not fact that, he didn't constantly play people that were 5'3", Michael Jordan, I'm talking.
Right.
So it's a different time too, Brian, not just in sports, with technology and the social media that's going to kind of skew these things, and it's going to continue to go opposite of the way that you see things.
Well, the funny part about Muggsy Bogues was he was a defensive freaking nemesis.
He really was.
He was so low to the ground and so much faster than everybody that where you had to dribble the ball, that was right in his eye line. I mean, that he would steal the ball for you. He put so much pressure on you just to get it over half court. Now, obviously, when you pull up for a jumper, you have a huge advantage over him because you're much taller than him. Even a 6-foot guy is much taller than him. But like Bogues, I mean, boy, he was a defensive nemesis.
I love Muggsy. I know two ways about it. I, like yourself, I grew up in the 90s. I loved the NBA in the 90s. And, I understand what you're saying. I definitely get it.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it a few weeks ago. The AAU basketball coach, he had this really great team, and they practice all the time, and he was teaching the kids, and they were working really hard. And the next season, his 2 best players are gone. And he asked them why they're not playing with them anymore. They're playing with another team. And the other team said to the players, you don't have to come to practice, just come to the games. So these kids, while they have all the athletic ability in the world, nobody's coaching them.
Yeah.
How are they going to get better? All the skill in the world is only going to get you so far.
You're right.
Well, I'm glad we didn't talk about the Pirates. That was actually a good little segment.
I thought we had this final 2 minutes allotted for the Pirates.
We do. The Pirates are playing here on Beaver County Radio. You can listen to the pregame at 6:15. Before we go to that, I do want to thank my guests again. Ralph Williams from the Sports Corner Show. You catch him every Tuesday from 4 to 6 here on Beaver County Radio. Dan Neely. We will have his website up. He is the NFL expert. Also, Jay Skapanik. Scap Attack YouTube, check it out. Like, share, subscribe, comment. It is the best stuff out there. Also, make sure you go out there and check out Two Dumb Yinzers. Ryan does a fantastic job. They had Tim Worley on today. There's about an hour show each day, Monday through Friday. You can check it out on YouTube. It also gets uploaded to Spotify later on the night. But check out the Two Dumb Yinzers on YouTube. Tim Worley was on today for about 45 minutes out of the hour, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Thank you, Brian.
That was one of my favorite, other than the shows I've been on. That's one of my favorite shows, Ryan.
I appreciate that.
Okay, I liked it more than the ones I was on.
No, Tim did a really great job. It was awesome being able to talk to him and hear the things that he talked about. Super excited. Check it out, everybody.
All right, everyone. You guys are going to be listening to the Pirates pregame, and make sure you enjoy the game tonight. You've been listening to WBVP 99.3 FM and 1230 AM. We will see you guys back next week.
Longest and most loved